Good evening, guys. Welcome back to GKP Live Pond Talk. Well, I hope you've all had a good week. Everybody's well. Everybody's doing good. We've got a couple of guests on, and we have a couple of YouTubers on as well this evening. The first one will be Phil Barnett, which is from Telford Koi Pond. He's going to be joining us this evening. He'll be our first guest who I'll bring on, and then we're going to bring the rest of the guys on. And we also have an appearance again from Gary from Pond and Garden. We'll also be having Daz from Daz's Koi Farm, soon to be announced, and Jack from the Balding Reefer, and Mick Lawson, hopefully at some point, might be dropping with us as well. And we might also be having another guest, which would be April, who will be coming on. She has a little bit of information that she wants to share with us all, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can find out what that is together, because it's news to me too. So, basically, I hope you've all had a good week. It's been, well, I've had better, but we'll get through it, as we do. And, well, let's see what this evening brings. Hopefully, we get a little bit of participation from the audience, and we get to be able to hear what everybody else thinks and what their opinions are on the questions tonight that are going to be coming from Phil. So without further ado, I shall bring on Phil, and we'll introduce him and let him see and tell us what he wants to talk about this evening. Welcome to GKP Live, Phil. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm very glad it's Thursday and almost Friday. It's been a long week.
It certainly has. On that one.
Yeah.
Now, would you like to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you're from, and you know?
Yeah, sure.
What your hobby is?
Well, name's obviously Phil, and YouTube channel is Telford Koi Pond, which basically gives away where I live, which is in Telford in Shropshire. I am a Black Country lad. I was originally born in Walsall, which is where my parents were. So yeah, I escaped about 20 years ago, and we moved over to Telford, looking for a bit more sort of a rural lifestyle, shall we say, and ended up in a little place called Mugston, which is sort of semi-rural. It's very nice. We love it here, and we've sort of put down our roots properly, which is why I've spent so much money on the pond and the garden, because I've not got no intention to move in. So
and the man cave.
Absolutely, it's getting worse. Yeah, we're extending the house now. It's getting worse. But yeah, I've had fish in one form or another. It went since I was about 5. Dad won me a goldfish at the fair, and I had it for 2 years apparently. Yeah, Dad was into fish in a big way. He was into tropical fish. So we had a big 7-foot tank in the lounge with a big black shark and striped head standers and all sorts in there. Really nice. And they had a pond in the garden as well. So obviously, as soon as I bought my own house, first thing I did was build a pond. And like most people, sort of went at it half-cocked, didn't do the research, and ended up with a green puddle in the middle of the grass.
Oh, excuse me, sorry.
All right.
Technical issue.
That's it. There you go. Yeah, sort of learned from the first one, and cut a long story short, we ended up building a 4,000-gallon pond, which was a really nice size, 6 foot deep. Had some cracking fish in there, kept that going for about 12 years, and then had a son. So we decided to fill it all in, and now son's grown up, sort of thing. We decided to get back into it again as a bit of a lockdown project. So that's when we built this pond. So current pond is 2,500 gallons. ORZ combi drum filter, and I've just finished with my dream filter house, to be honest. So with all the big jobs done now, I'm really looking forward to spending some more time with the fish, and to be honest, buying a few more fish for it. So that's me.
I'm loving the fish that you've got, though, Phil. You've already got some absolute. One question I have been wanting to ask you, and I forgot last time when I saw you, is how's the Hyatsuriri? That the one that you had a little bit of issue with the delivery. Has it healed up okay?
I've just got to the point where I'm managing to talk about it without swearing or getting emotional. So I was really that delivery driver nearly didn't make it off the yard. I tell you, really good. No, I mean he was in a really bad state when I got him. To be honest with you, it looked like the box had been kicked around the floor. I was really unhappy. But anyway, now heat ramping, salt baths, bit of FMG, BP. You know, that's to sort of throw a bit of everything at it, because as soon as you seem to get over one thing, you went into another. Now stunning, absolutely stunning. Now everything's healed. No bumps, blemishes. Really, really pleased with him. So yeah, he's really good.
At least it's come good. The main thing is that the fish is okay, and he's still in good health and good condition, and no lasting scarring or anything like that. Then
no, I was gobsmacked. He's really good. You know, I've had him out, give him a good inspection a couple of times, but nothing. He's really recovered well. So it must have been a really healthy fish. Fundamentally.
Okay. Luckily that he didn't end up anything lasting. But anyway,
it's a shame really, because I've had lots of smaller fish through the post, never had any issue at all. And of course, your first big fish you have through the post, it goes pear-shaped and it sort of puts you off. So
we've had some delivered. My dad had some a couple of years ago. He got some. Well, I'm saying maybe 4 or 5 years ago. He had some fry delivered. Other than the odd, I think there were maybe about 1 or 2 in the bag that had passed before they got there. That was the only issue. But that's the only fish that we've had personally delivered what I've had any involvement with. I've never actually had any delivered myself. I've always either picked them up from, or got them from a shop, or never had anything in delivery. But I would imagine that that's not the norm, really. You'd like to think that the majority of people would go careful with them, or would go steady with them.
Well, particularly as I've got great big tapes laying live fish all over the box and keep this way up or anything. And to see it standing on its end the wrong way up with a young 12-year-old van driver smiling at you, you just want to, whoa! But no.
No. Right, well, it's okay, Phil. No lasting damage. So how's the new Chag doing? Because that was the last one I saw you put in prior to, or was it that after that? It was after one.
I met. The Hyde series is the last one to go in. The Chag and the Kahaku were the 2 before. Oh. So I met a gentleman at the Coventry show. To be honest with you, just happened to be standing in next to a vat, looking at the fantastic fish, and we got talking about fish as you do. And he happened to mention, he's got a big pond and lots of fish, and was thinking about getting rid of some. And then I bumped into him some months later at the local show, and he just said he's still interested in taking a couple of fish off my hands. So I'd seen pictures of his pond, so I knew they were going to be special. But when I went to his pond and I was looking for, I'll be honest, I was looking for like a 6-inch, 8-inch Chag swimming around, and I couldn't see anything big smaller than about 40 centimetres. And he said, no, it's that one there. And this whale comes swimming up, and fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So I went for a Chag, and I came back with a Chag and a Kahaku. So I was really pleased. But it's right what everybody says, and I'm sure you know this anyway, guys. But putting a Chag in your pond, it completely changed the dynamics. I mean, one fish was hand feeding before we put the Chag in, and within 2 weeks, everybody's hand feeding, and that's no exaggeration.
So greedy, aren't they? They're just I think it's more the fact that they're greedy and everybody else needs to come up to get some as well. That tames them all down to the point of where you can do it. But it's certainly a totally change to most ponds if you put one in. But I think Karashi guys are very similar as well. They tend to act the same way too, because they're big eaters as well. Yeah. Right then. What I'm going to do now, you've introduced yourself a little bit, Phil. We've had a bit of a chat. I know you have a series of questions that you'd like to, ask, put out there for people to discuss and talk about. So we'll bring in a little bit or a few more, introduce them all one by one, and we'll get the panel, so to speak, in and see what everybody else has got to think to our list of this evening's questions. So we'll bring in Daz first.
Evening.
Hey, evening, Daz.
You're all right.
Hello.
You all right,
Phil? You all right, guys?
Yeah, thank you. Good week?
Yeah, not bad. Yes, it's not over yet.
No, it should be a good weekend, mate, shouldn't it? Hopefully, fingers crossed. Everything goes to plan. Sorry?
I'm looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah, me too. Can't be beaten, but fingers crossed. If it all goes good, it should be good. It should be a good day. Right then. Obviously, you know each other, you two. We'll bring in Mick as well. Evening, Mick. How's it going? Oh, do we have a technical issue? How's it going, Mick? How are you doing, mate? You good?
Hi.
And we'll bring in the last one for now. We do have another guest sitting in the wait, but at the moment I can see him filling his face with ice cream. He's having the Baldwin Reefer special, I reckon, no doubt. Right, let's bring in his last one for now till he's finished and he's ready. There we go. We've got Gary from Ponder Garden.
Good evening, guys.
Hello.
I think I need a little bit more light here, don't I? Oh, a little bit dark
Evening,
on the dark side. Oh, there I am.
Right then, Phil. Would you like? Oh well, I suppose we could go through the comments first of all and have a quick check back through on them. See what everybody's been saying. We've got a Yo from the Ginger Viking. We've got A Midux from Ponder Garden, which is obviously yourself, Gaz.
Yeah.
Evening from myself. Hi all from Carlos C. Hi to Carlos from Ponder Garden. We've got an evening from Aid. Got an evening, Gary from Gary to Gary and Phil. That one could get really confusing. We've got a Hey Goose from Sam. We've got a hello, Gaz, and good evening, Sam, and a good evening to all from Sam as well. A hi all from Sandy Pollard. Waving hands, I think, from up north Koi Pond. Nice to see you, mate. We've got a hi, guys. Just wondering what wakes up first, healthy bacteria or parasites? Well, there we go. As soon as we got to that one, what wakes up first, healthy bacteria or parasites? I'll put it to, well, let's go for Daz. I'll give you that one question, mate. See what you think to that one.
I haven't got a clue, to be quite honest, Gaz. I mean, I would like to think it'd be healthy bacteria first. But
well,
I honestly haven't got a clue.
Not something, honestly, it's not something I know either. Anybody else got any ideas? Anybody else want to have a pop at that question? Which wakes up first, healthy bacteria or parasites? Well, imagine healthy bacteria, if your filter system's running and your pond is heated, your healthy bacteria should be continuous.
Yeah.
If we're dropping down to low temperatures, then healthy bacteria should still be there, providing you've been adding winter bacteria formulas to your pond. So technically, bacteria should be continuous. Parasites, if you're unlucky enough to get them, should follow suit as and whenever they arrive. That would be my guess. And it is only a guess because I'm sure no doubt somebody out there will either correct us or give us some more information and tell us anything different. But I would say that bacteria, even if it gets down to low temperatures, you still have some level of bacteria running in your filter system throughout the winter period. It doesn't all die back. You normally keep some to some extent, depending on whether or not you add winter bacteria to top up your system. That should always mean you've got healthy bacteria at all times. That's what we're aiming for as pond keepers.
Yeah.
Anybody want to add anything different?
I was just going to say, I think the key for me is sort of agreeing with what Gaz says, that there is healthy bacteria. I mean, it depends what you read. Again, I'm no expert. This is my opinion. But what I've read about it is there's always healthy bacteria in your pond, and absolutely it helps if you add more bacteria throughout the season, and even in the winter. You can buy special winter bacteria to keep it going. I think the problem you can have sometimes with lower temperatures is, although you've got healthy bacteria in your pond, it's not necessarily actively healthy. Yeah. Whereas parasites, as soon as it gets up to sort of between 8 and 10 degrees, they suddenly become very, very active. And sometimes there's a lag between the healthy bacteria becoming active and the parasites that are already active. And that's where you're getting the sort of, the early season pond syndrome, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It
depends as well. If you've been keeping a bit of a steady trickle of food going in over the winter, that will keep the ammonia going to keep your bacteria going.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're further up north like you are, Gaz, then everything's down.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, I have had my filter system up and running,
Yeah.
right up till one point where we had some real bad cold spells where it was starting to freeze inside the filter system. So that's hence the reason for going for the changes that I'm making, because the filter system being outside as it was, it got way too cold to keep it going continuously. So for that nip period of about maybe 4 or 5 days, it did get switched down, did get turned off. But adding bacteria off, friendly bacteria's in, or what the proper names, like your pond balls or your pond
bombs,
yeah, all that kind of thing, can only be a plus. But I know that there are some that you can get for winter periods as well, for colder temperatures. So, yeah, it's. I would say, parasites are an onset of early spring, aren't they? They're normally the case as everything starts to kick in, your bacteria. But like you said, as if you've been feeding, there should be ammonia levels there for bacteria to feed upon to start the cycle. So,
yeah.
Right. What do you think, Mick? And Gary, anything you want to add?
I'll let Mick go first.
Yeah, just like you said, I think there's always an amount of bacteria in your pond, in your filter boxes. Like I say, as long as you're feeding little bits, and like I say, there definitely would be some kind of beneficial bacteria there in there. So
yeah.
Your
opinion?
Yeah. She's not here at the moment. I'm busy, Georgina. No, sorry, you'll have to come.
Georgina.
I'm busy.
Hi, Georgina.
Everybody say hi. Live. I hope you enjoy the show.
Right, bear with me, guys.
No problem. Let's let Gaz. We'll just drop him out for a second. There you go. That's just goes to prove that we're definitely 100% there, because Georgina popped in. It's a bit like the old sketch of a TV. It's only Sonia as she walks in back at house. Anyway, right. That was good. We'll get to a couple more comments. We've got Popsy Coy says, "Evening, fellas."
Evening.
Coy Beginnings. I don't want to get a fish bigger than 20. I never want to get a fish bigger than 25 centimeters. In the past, always like to view it first. Also, I never want to get fish bigger than 25 centimeters.
Does that mean buying fish at that size?
Picking up purchasing, do you mean by that, Coy Beginnings? Do you mean you wouldn't want to buy one bigger than that? You'd want to see it first and then grow it on from that up, I'm guessing, maybe. We got.
It means through the post. I think it means through the post.
Buying it unseen by the.
I get you. Yeah. All right.
I'd agree with that, to be honest. I'd be very nervous getting a large fish delivered.
Well, technically, mate, any of us that get any fish and any of us that buy big fish, and we're all getting Japanese, if we're getting Japanese, they're all delivered.
Well, true, yes.
So, kind of defeats the object to say we wouldn't, because at the end of the day, most of us do and have. Parasites can cause issues in low water temperatures when beneficial bacteria is almost non-existent. Yeah,
Right.
There you go. But as we stated, in fact, this chap down here in the bottom corner now, has finished eating his ice cream. How rude of me to spot and not notice. So we shall we'll bring Jack in while we've got Gary out. Evening, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
Evening, Jack.
Bill. Evening, Mick. Hi, Jack. Evening, Gaza.
Hope you enjoyed your ice cream, mate. Looked like it was quite nice.
It was. The boys have just come back from jiu-jitsu, so they've all got some new badges each and stuff like that. So they're all going through the gradings now at jiu-jitsu, which was really well. So I thought I'd stop in at Margelatos on the way through, just on the intention of getting them an ice cream each. And then the woman scolded me behind the counter and went, "You've not been in for ages for a Balding Reefer special." I was like, "Okay, I'll take one of them too, please." So that's why I've had dessert before I've actually had my tea tonight.
Wow. At least some of us have had to. I didn't even manage to get no, but never mind. Right, well, comment there from up north, Coy. Parasites can cause issues in low water temperatures and beneficial bacteria is almost non-existent. yeah, they do. A lot of it does seem to die off, but as we've already discussed, you can buy low water temperature beneficial bacteria to add to your pond so that they aren't non-existent. So just in case anybody didn't know, they are purchasable. You can get them. How good they are, I don't know. I've never used them myself. Go on.
I have to agree with Upnor Cove Pond. So I actually went to the BKKS Cool Club last night, and there was a talk about food. Not last night, sorry, Tuesday night. There was actually a talk about food and parasites. And one of the points that was actually made there was about the fluctuations in temperatures. So both bacteria and parasites will remain dormant. So agreeing with what Phil said a moment ago, the reason why you'll tend to find parasites before you'll find your pond kicking back into gear properly is due to the fluctuations in temperatures. So parasites are always a lot faster to wake up. Once they've woke up, it's going to take a good sort of 3 to 6 week period for those to re-go back dormant. So when your pond sits at, say, for example, 12 degrees, your fish's immunity system is only actually sitting at around 20%. You actually have to get your pond water over 18 degrees to get, sorry, over 21 degrees to get your fish immune system up to 80%. So that's probably why a lot of people will experience parasites before they'll actually experience like new pond syndrome again when the filters are starting to kick in and stuff like that.
Yeah. But obviously only affecting people that aren't heated.
Correct.
Anybody that's heated, keeping those temperatures up throughout the winter, as up north Coy does, because I know he's got his heater on his, but I watched his last video where he was saying about the temperatures and resetting for his electric and how much it's going to cost to maintain those temperatures in his pond and what have you. So yet to watch his next one to see if he's found out anything different. But I suppose if you've got heater in your pond and you're keeping your fish warm, you don't tend to get those issues anyway, would you? Then other than just parasites from either external sources inwards or somewhere else dropping them in there or getting them in there in some way, shape or form. Oops, looks like we might have lost Mick there for a bit. I'll drop him out for a second. This is going really good tonight. We've had a few people dropping in and unannounced. We'll bring Gary back in till we see...
I do apologise about that.
That's all right, mate. The more the merrier.
Well, see, that's what I get for leaving my front door wide open.
Well,
Mick's back.
at least your guests and your friends, mate, are comfortable enough to walk in, then it's a welcoming home, mate. That's how it should be.
Oh yeah. You know, she's an elderly neighbour and needed a bit of help quickly for a minute. So yeah, I do. Hopefully,
did you just stick on your superhero coat and whiz out the door? Huh?
Oh yeah, put my old Superman costume off and off I go.
There you go.
Well, do I was wearing tights?
Right then, I'll go through a few more comments later on, and we'll start off with Phil's first question, not just for the panel, but for the public and the guests that are watching as well. See what everybody thinks of this one.
Yeah, it's really just throwing it out there for discussion. And to be honest with you, I got thinking about this. Watching Gary's pond and his recent purchase of his Japanese koi. So in my previous pond, a fish was a fish. So I just bought koi from wherever my local dealers and what have you. So what I want to put out there is, does the origin of a fish really make a difference to the average koi keeper? So whether they're Japanese, Israeli, Polish, English, does it really make a difference? And are there any benefits to actually buying English-bred koi? And again, the reason I asked this, I went to a fish shop in Birmingham recently, and I was looking at their selection of Israeli koi, and they were absolutely superb. And I didn't buy them. I didn't buy one because they were Japanese. And I was driving home in the car thinking, am I a mug? They're not half the price. They're a lot cheaper. They're really, really beautiful koi, but they're not Japanese. So what's your thoughts, gents?
Well, let's go for Jack. What's your thoughts on that, mate? What would you go on? You get
as a newfound koi dealer, I've just got to put that props out there. Shameless plug, reefaquatics.com. The easiest way I would put this to people: what's your favourite car, Phil?
Sorry?
What's your favourite car?
Porsche 911 Carrera 4 Turbo.
Nice car.
What's your favourite car, Daz?
I'm not really a car guy. A car's a car to me.
Yes.
Sacrilege!
Okay, so if you had to pick Ferrari or Lamborghini. So if you had to pick Ferrari or Lamborghini.
I wouldn't have either of them. A Mondeo.
Yeah.
Okay. Ford. Okay, Ford. That'll do. Mick, favourite car?
Nissan Qashqai.
Okay, Japanese. Gary, favourite car?
The one that's sitting on the driveway right now, the MGHS.
Chinese. Gaz, Koipon, favourite car?
I'd go with 1275 GT Mini Cooper S Classic 1976.
An old
British.
farm.
Okay, so the reason why I ask them questions is, for me as a dealer, the whole Israeli versus Japanese argument. One person likes Japanese cars, which is Mick.
Like me.
Gary at Pond and Garden likes Chinese cars, but it's an MG. Daz went for a Ford car, which is a British manufactured car. So did Gaz's Koipon. And what was your choice, Phil? Porsche, German. Pretty close to Poland.
Yep.
For me, that's the way I view it. It is simply down to, and probably going to annoy a lot of people here, pond snobbery.
Yeah.
It does not matter where that koi comes from. Full stop. And I think the whole industry, and speaking as a dealer looking at it as a whole, so for example, my grow and show has actually cost A-class koi money to put the grow and show on, because the price of the fish doubled and the price of the shipping tripled.
Yeah.
Simply due to the fact of the conflict that's going on in Ukraine. Me and Mick, when we were in the school the other day, spoke to a sturgeon farm, British sturgeon farm that imports from all over the world.
Yeah.
No longer selling sturgeon this year because they're rearing their own British line stock. And for me, it's about the experience of what you're paying for in the dealers. So in Japan, nobody seems to want to talk about the dirty word that is sleeping koi syndrome. They all want to point the fingers at the Israelis for KHV. Little known fact that the Israelis have actually got a better KHV rate than the Japanese do. The Japanese, to actually cure sleeping koi syndrome, will actually get a koi that's got sleeping koi syndrome and throw it in with a load of fry that are between, say, 3 to 5 inches in length. All the fry will roll over and go belly up. They'll get the pond to 26 degrees and heat and treat it with salt. What doesn't survive gets terminated. What does survive now has an immunity to sleeping koi syndrome. Yeah. British koi don't have that because they've not been exposed to it for years of overbreeding and things like that. So for me, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, should I say. Find the koi that looks nice to you. Find the koi that you're happy with. Doesn't matter whether it's Israeli, whether it's Japanese, whether it's Polish, whether it's English bred, whether it's Daddy's Koi Farm bred or Reefer Aquatics bred. It really doesn't matter. The aim of the game, for me, from a dealer's point of view, and obviously having the Oasis as a wholesale outlet, is to get as close to what the Japanese are doing as humanly possible. And you're only going to get that way through grading, which links back to the cars. Everyone's got their own taste in koi. I will stock Japanese, I will stock Israeli, and I will stock British. So for me, it's all about pond snobbery and whatever you want. So if I was you, Phil, I'd jump in the motor after this live stream, straight back over to that shop in Birmingham. You had your eye on.
Cheers, bud.
End of the day, it's very difficult to tell a dealer where the fish are from in the first place. Tell you that the Japanese, and they could well be Israeli.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. I had Japanese one side, Israeli the other side. And the only reason I knew because they had a sign above them. That was it. I could not tell the difference.
Yeah.
I think personally for me, that's pretty much hit the nail on the head. At the end of the day, if you can look at two fish and can't tell the difference, and correct me if anybody knows any different, whether they come from Israel or whether they come from Japan or anywhere else, they're all descendants from the fish from Japan. So they're all technically the same bloodline in the first place. So to me, I don't see as there's either a real difference, and I'd like to think all my fish were Japanese. I'm told they are, but like you said, how do you know? How do anybody know, really? Unless you did a DNA test, 6 elements back to wherever it came from. I don't know. But I mean, I don't personally feel if it had been me and they were nice and the quality were good and they look good-bodied fish, healthy, I'd have gone with what I'd have picked what I like.
Yeah,
I think 10 years ago, you would have been able to tell the difference between Israeli and Jap, but not so much in the last two to 3 years, because the quality of the Israelis have come up quite considerably. I mean, you've got Madden Koi Farm in Israel. They're producing some really nice Deutsch fish at the moment.
I was just going to say exactly that, just to back you up, Mick. The Deutsch fish that they've got over there are next level art. They're beautiful. They're absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
In comparison. But yeah.
But you got the guys in Poland. You got that guys in Poland who are slowly coming up the ranks of producing some really nice fish. They're not there quite on the stage of Israeli, I don't think, to be honest with you, yet. But in the future, I'm sure they will be up there with the Japanese and the Israelis.
Yeah.
The British, though, the British bred koi.
Yeah, getting there.
If you look at half of them that are bringing them up when we were at koi shows, they weren't a bad fish there either. I mean, what was the one? I can't remember. Was it New Forest koi? Can't remember that. The ones that we were looking at, it might have been me and you, Jack, but we were looking at and they were swimming round and round and round in circles constantly. Just when we were at Colebrook there. I mean, the quality of those fish in there, they were outstanding. They were beautiful. They're stunning. Absolutely. So British bred stuff as well is definitely getting way up there too.
Yeah. You got Adam Bayer. You've got
I was going to say Adam was at the Coventry show, wasn't he? He had some really nice fish there. Primarily single colour fish, but they were really, really nice fish, and so much. Price wise, you just can't go wrong.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
In respect of, sorry, do you want to carry on, Phil?
No, carry on, Gary.
In respect to what Phil was saying about, I've just recently bought a Japanese Sankey. When I first bought my first lot of koi, I bought them from a local garden centre, and they were Israeli koi. All my pond checks, everything, scrapes were absolutely spot on. I bought 8 from this garden centre, and within the first 6 weeks, 7 of them rolled over and gone. No explanation, nothing. That was when I then found Carpco, and I've been using Carpco for 4 years now, and all of their koi are Polish. It turns out that the 2 little ones that Vince gave me back in October, they are bred from Japanese koi, but they was bred in this country by Adam Bayer. So, I didn't know they was like bred from Japanese koi, but in this country until Vince told me a couple of days ago. So the reason for me buying the Japanese Sankey was I wanted to see if there was any difference in how fast it grows, how the difference in colours progress, and the overall how it progresses and grows. Because all my koi that I had bought most of them. They started off 4 or 5 inch, just like the Sankey 6 inch, and they've grown as I've kept them. So it was not. I've always wanted to have a Japanese koi. So by getting that Sankey, I've now got Israeli Dosti. All the other fish in the koi pond are Polish. The 2 in the little pond that I got from Vince, they are Japanese but bred in this country. And now I've got a full Japanese Sankey. I want to see if there's any difference in how fast they grow, how their colours progress, how they develop, and see if there's any difference between the three, like the Israeli, Japanese, and Jack straight British.
It'd also be interesting to see, Gary, the resilience to sort of parasites and things like that. I mean, I don't want you to get anything in your pond full stop, but if you do, it will be interesting to see if the Japanese koi fares different to the Israeli koi and the other stuff you've got in there.
Oh yeah, in the 4 years I've been doing ponds, guarantee you coming out of spring into summer, I always get flukes. About halfway through the season, I might get the odd touch of trickle postia, and then going from summer into autumn, I'll always get flukes again. So it will be interesting to see what I do actually go through this year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, got to agree with that.
Last year, obviously, because the koi pond went wrong and I spent nearly 4 months in that metal frame swimming pool, being right underneath my roof and the gutter, they went through just about every known pond parasite while I was in that swimming pool last year.
Yeah.
You know, started off with trick, then it was trick and fluke, trick, fluke, chill, trick, fluke, chill, costia, and then no sooner did I get all that cleared, get the pond built, 3 weeks after I was in, white spot.
Oh.
And then plus through the winter, they've gone through 2 bacterial issues. So yeah, I had quite a run of parasites and things with koi alone last year. Whereas the small pond, the only reason they got trick was because I had no choice but to put the koi into the small pond for 3 days when the pond wall failed. So yeah. that was self-inflicted, that one.
Well, there you go.
Does anybody believe that Japanese koi are genetically weaker than the different? I mean, I know they're all the same from the same original 6, but do you believe that the Japanese strain has become weaker over a period of time?
I think
I do.
I think the way that they're reared makes a difference. Yeah. The high temperatures are reared at, the speed that they're reared as well, I think can make them a little bit weaker.
Yeah.
Well, there's another thing to look at as well, isn't there?
Sorry?
There's another thing to look at as well. Their gene pool has to be weaker.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because back in, was it 2014, when they had the massive great big earthquake?
Oh, yes.
And the amount of stock that the fish keepers lost due to those earthquakes. And where did they get those replacement stocks from? What happened to the gene pool source that they had? I'm not. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, whether or not they are stronger as they were, or whether or not they had to bring in imports and buy stuff back into the country to start breeding from again.
Yeah,
I know there was thousands and thousands of fish lost, wasn't there?
There was, yeah. It was terrible.
Yeah.
They were laid on streets and high streets, weren't they? Up in gutters inside of roads and in fields and everything, everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? But Jamie, I guess that might kind of almost covered your question there. Is there a difference between Israeli koi and Japanese koi apart from the prices? Technically, mate, no, because they're all the same descendants of the same fish. But destination-wise is what I would say is the difference, and price-wise, obviously.
And
technically, they are the same background.
Yeah, huge amount of snobbery in Japanese koi as well.
I do think, personally, Israeli koi do very nice ginnerin as well.
Yeah.
They seem to have a nice, sharp, bright luster to them, don't they, as well?
They don't have to follow the set trends that the Japanese do either. They can do different things. Whereas the Japanese are very set in the ways a lot of the breeding, or seem to be to me.
Yeah.
Sticking with the traditional.
The traditional go Sankis and such, yeah. They tend to look down the nose at some of the lesser varieties.
So we've got up north koi, that's put there. I was under the impression that Israeli koi are more immune against KHV. I think the only reason why they're immune to it is because they're vaccinated for it.
Yeah. The vaccine only lasts for 2 years, though.
Yeah. Then what?
It's the vaccine's no longer there. You'd have to
Revaccinate fish or run the risk.
Yeah, but I mean, but again, it's Japanese koi have a higher hit rate for KHV than Israeli koi farms. That is a well-known industry fact. It's just if you are Ferrari, you can pay for certain stories to go away. If your brand is big enough, you can take your CEO running into a lamppost in his brand new Bentley. Do you know what I mean? And that's the equivalent of it. Is because the Japs were the first ones to become industry renowned for it. I mean, just to put another spanner in the works, the reason why Japanese koi are so expensive, by the way, is because of the shipping costs.
Yeah.
That's it. Sake grow food, the reason that's so expensive, because of the shipping costs. And that is literally all a lot of it is. The Israeli fish, don't get me wrong, I can order a box of 300 3 to 4 inch fish, Israelis, 95 pence, and the delivered price will be about £1.60, £1.70 in the UK. That's cards laid on the table. Japanese side of things, you're probably going to be talking for a 3 to 4 inch fish, probably about £6.50 landed because of the difference in shipping costs. I mean, it makes it worse now that they have to fly around the top, refuel in Alaska to get into Europe. But what you've got to remember is you can't just go over to Japan like you can Israel. You can't just go over to Japan, purchase from the farm, and then get it through. You've got to have a handling agent in the UK. You've got to have a handling agent in Japan. You then also got to have a transhipper in the middle, and then you've also got the farm as well. Your transhipper wants money, the farm wants money, the agent at customs in Japan wants his money, and the agent in the UK wants his money. But then your vet also wants their money as well when they get landed too. But don't forget about the tax man, because he wants 20% on top of everything that everybody else has as well. So that's why a lot of the price differences for Japanese fish come into play. And this is one thing I always say to people: price doesn't always guarantee quality.
Yeah.
We've got a quick one there from Melbourne. So hi all.
Evening.
We've got one there from Skeggy's Pond. Shelton, the main difference with Israel is bloodlines.
Would you like to know an interesting fact about Israeli koi?
Yes.
When they first started mass producing Israeli koi, do you know their calls were actually what the Japanese were classing as the grade A's? That's how wrong the Israelis had got it at first. They were calling all the ones that the Japanese were like, no, that's a Tachishita fish, we're keeping that. and it was only through people liaising between the two. There's actually a video on YouTube. I'll see if I can find the link and give it here so you can show people in next week's live stream. But there's actually quite an in-depth talk. It's like a 2.5 hour video. And I think it's Corey from Aquarium Co-op. He takes a trip over to Israel on hunting for tropical fish. And he gets talking to one of the largest farms in Israel. And he says, we got it that wrong when we first started. He says, all of us did. He says, for the first 2-3 years, we were culling everything that we should have been keeping. And the stuff we were putting into the markets, he says, was all the stuff that should have been culled. So we didn't really help our own cause, did we? Well, it's a brilliant watch. It's a long watch, but it's super, super educational, especially if you're into all sorts of fish, not just your koi.
Yeah, I think I've watched that, but it is a long video, isn't it? It is a long one. We've got a quick evening all from Skeggy. Evening, Daz. How's it going, mate?
Hi, Daz.
Good? We've got a evening, everyone, from John Cope. Hope you're good, John.
Hi, John.
We've got healthy bacteria always there, and an increase with feeding as the koi eat more.
Yeah.
And again, from Daz, parasites will become more active before the fish becomes more active in colder temps. And a quick reply back from Jamie there with a cheers. Right, go on then, Phil. I shall let you fire away with probably should check a bit further down to the bottom as well to see if anybody else wants to add anything to any of them. I'll let you get ready with your next question, Phil, while I quickly flick through these comments.
Okay. Well, my
Sorry.
Go on.
Said that out loud because up to you, Phil. Sorry.
I was going to say the second thing I wouldn't mind having a discussion about is pond size in general. So normally in the spring, unless you're Martin from Martin Koi Pond, who built all through the worst weather in the world in the winter, most people, start building in the spring. And based on my own experience, I would just like to ask you guys if you think there's an optimum pond size for the average hobbyist. And the reason why I'm asking that is, as I say, my first proper pond was 4,000 gallons. And to be honest, I found it very expensive to run, to treat, to maintain. So when we built this pond, I purposely sized it at 2,500 gallons. And the reason I chose that number was there's a heck of a lot of treatments where 250 mil of treatment treats 2,500 gallons. And that was the real reason. So is there an optimum size? Or, I don't get me wrong, if I won the pools, I'd go for a blooming 10,000 gallon mega pond or whatever I was going to want to go for. But for the average person, what do you think the optimum size is? Ponds, nothing else.
The size you've got it, 2.5 to 3,000. Don't do what I did, think bigger and better. Like you said, I've got just under a 4,000 gallon pond now, and it's so expensive to treat, to run.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it the fandangled way with all bottom drains or anything like that. It's still mega expensive to treat.
Definitely for the fish, bigger the better. But for the pond owner, then I think you're absolutely right, Mick. It's
smaller the better.
You've got you can't get away from it. Your fish will need treating pretty much every year, something or other. And I know someone at the moment that's got a very large pond that's struggling in terms of treating, a huge cost.
Yeah.
When I built my koi pond last year, when I was like planning on how I wanted it, do I want it where the last pond was or move it? To me, my pond is 7 foot square, 4 foot deep. It's 1,252 gallons, and I wanted it to be the size it ended up more, so it looks proportionate to the size of the garden, not what room I actually had. You guys have all seen my garden on my videos, and that was about the only place I had that I could build it, and I didn't want to go any bigger than I have, simply because of my health and everything when it comes to maintaining it and working on it. So to me it was all about what I can actually physically manage.
What's yours going up to, Gaz, when you do your remodel? Have you got a number in mind?
Oh, what, the small one?
No, sorry, Gaz.
Oh, sorry.
As Gary just said there, basically mine will be going to what fits and suits my garden. Because at the end of the day, I could turn half my garden into a great big pond, and I won't be living, walking or breathing if I did, because but the fact is, I still need a garden, and I still want a garden, because it's all right having a great big mass of water than nowhere to sit to enjoy it. So I'm going to go to a proportionate size that still suits my garden, but benefits the fish by giving them a little bit more room. The main reason for my build, going bigger, is to make it safer for my grandson, because I'm going to teach him to swim before I fill it in. I don't want to have to get rid of it, and he already is enjoying it. He likes to go out every time he gets here to have a look at it, so I know it's going to be an attractive thing for him to go to when he gets here, and he's up and around and he's running and he's already off already. So to make sure that it's safe for him is the main reason for doing it. So it'll be as big as I can comfortably make it get, Phil, without again taking too much of my garden, because one, there still needs to be a practical use to every garden. We all have clothing that we need to get washed, dried and ironed and the rest of it. So it's still going to be usable, it's still going to be practical. And I don't have a front garden. I have a parking area, but there's no actual, lawn space and all that kind of thing. So what I've got is what I'm working with. So it'll be what it is when it's done. So honestly, I don't really know. Hopefully, I might be able to perhaps maybe double its water mass if I can. That's what I'm kind of hoping for, but we'll see. It depends. Again, same thing. Although everything that we want to do comes down to cost, I want it to look right.
Yeah.
I don't want it to cost a fortune because everything has gone up. Yorkshire stone is expensive as it is already. Building it and making it massive and having loads of stone cost into it and the rest of it. The more you build, the more you take out, the more deeper you get, the more stuff you've got to get rid of, the more stuff you've got to buy in. So it's all an even balance, just finding that, happy medium. If it were me, I'd buy a tumble dryer and I'd shove it in the house and I'd turn the whole lot into a garden pond with a nice little floating island that I could sit there and enjoy myself. But,
just a little bridge across, a little drawbridge. You lift up.
Something like that, I would. But yeah, it's just trying to keep everybody happy and happy balance. Like you say, happy wife, happy life.
Okay. Be interesting to know what the average pond size is in the UK, to be honest. I've tried looking at that on the internet and I can't really
there's
find
not
anything. But
I basically, when I did it, I just drew a line up for and thought, yeah, that'll do. But wrong because no, it won't. Now it needs to be bigger. So I'm drawing another line, and
I would pop
and then I might extend it slightly from that and go from there. So we'll see.
I would probably say the 1,000 Blagdon plastic preform pond. That's probably the number one selling pond.
Yeah.
That's probably what most people have got, apart from proper koi keepers.
yeah, probably my first pond.
Yeah,
Plastic preformed in the ground. Yeah, went green within 3 weeks. Never really got clear again.
Yeah.
Yeah, great stuff. No, it's interesting. And if the actual footprint, if the size, if the gallon isn't important, then is the depth more important? Are we still thinking 4 foot as an absolute minimum, or what? What?
I don't.
I think 3 foot.
That one, yeah, I can make that one really short. For me, anyway, for a quick answer, I don't think it makes a great deal of difference. My pond's not deep. It will be going deeper, don't get me wrong. But I know of somebody that has had a very shallow pond with, 50, 60 cm fish in it. We're talking less than 1.5 foot, 2 foot.
Wow.
Not heated, nothing. So
Yeah.
they don't all need to be. Well, I'm saying they don't need to be, do they? Would they be doing better? Would they be even bigger if they were in something bigger? I don't know. But yeah.
Well, the thing is, does shallow water heat faster? Will that make fish grow quicker?
Warms up quicker, doesn't it?
With herons and things, that if you've got shallow water, your fish are a sitting duck, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as it's deep enough so it doesn't fall down to the bottom of the wind, you can really keep them at any depth.
See, to me, I'll bring up this one message there that we've got 3 foot minimum, 5.5 foot maximum depth. Now, we only need to look at natural ponds, and for those statements to be nothing just other than people's ideas, because I know loads of lakes that are full with carp that are swimming around in 3 foot water.
Yeah.
And, in some places might drop to 13, 14 foot. So I always think in that sense, but I don't know if it's right, but if you want to find an answer, what works and what works naturally is normally my way of looking at things. But I'm not saying you're wrong. There are textbook what people say you should be, but again, the naturally existing waters that are out there aren't those depths. Sometimes deeper, sometimes shallower. And fish survive either way, don't they?
A lot of the natural lakes, the carp are happier in the shallow water as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Into that, they tend to go deeper parts.
Yeah. You've got elements of both in your pond. You've got the best of both worlds.
Yes.
There you go.
Oh, is there everybody else's opinion then? Mick, I'm going to let you have a stab at some of them while I just remove myself for 2 seconds. Quick bathroom break. Excuse me, should have gone beforehand. But
It's age, mate. It's all right. We'll let you off.
Back in the tick.
Yeah, I would say, if you can go to the 4 foot.
Yeah, but
that's the general consensus of most of the experts. Anything under 4 foot is okay, but 4 foot's a minimum. And then you think about the maximum. Anything over 4 foot, is it a waste of time because you're still getting the same kind of thermal activity at 4 foot than you would at 5 foot.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it as well has stuff to do with what your frost line is. So I know in Canada you have to get planning permission in some regions of Canada to build a pond.
Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia, their frost line sits at 3 foot, which in theory would indicate that the top of their pond could freeze in 3 foot's worth of ice.
Yeah.
So flip that on the opposite side. If you're in Nova Scotia, you wouldn't be digging a 7 foot pond. You'd be digging a 6 foot pond, which in theory would still give that koi or goldfish 3 foot's worth of swimming space.
Yeah.
Frost line in the UK is a foot. So again, if in theory it's not going to happen, or I'd like to think it wouldn't, but you could potentially get a foot of ice. Which, believe it or not, I mean, you look at the Thames. The Thames used to freeze over, and people used to ice skate across it.
Yeah.
And I do believe it actually froze over a few years back as well, didn't it? And people were back on the ice skates on it. So, for you to be able to ice skate on the Thames, that's going to be at least a foot and a half worth of ice there. Over that body of water. So, and I think that's has a lot to do with why people say, oh, minimum 3 foot, because you've still got 2 feet's worth of swim space under the ice. And if you're at 4 foot, then obviously that's probably your bang average, because then you've still got 3 foot's worth of swimming space there. So for me, there's probably low. It's going to be like a cake, isn't it? There's going to be so many different ingredients and so many different things that factor into why the averages are advised at minimum 3 foot for koi, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, does anyone know how deep the Japanese mud ponds are in Japan that they breed koi in?
Well, the videos that I've seen talking an average of 4 to 5 foot.
Yeah, they look around to me. They do have deeper ones. I know one of the videos I watched.
I think some of Dainichi's are 8 to 10 foot in the centre. Because if you have a look at the concrete block work around, and then you have a look at their water line as they're climbing down the hills to get into the mud pond itself when they're doing the harvest, it makes the people look quite small from the water line to the where they're standing.
Yeah. But I think they were the special ones for the bigger fish, weren't they? I think they are around about the 4 to 5 foot.
We're just going to put a couple of the comments just because obviously we're getting answers. And I'm sorry, guys. The one thing I'm struggling with this on a little bit is the comment side of things, because obviously you get carried away with the conversation, and I hope you're enjoying listening to it. But it's difficult to keep up with the comments that are coming from the guys as well. But we've got one from Mike Coy Joiner. Mine's just under 4 foot and he regrets it. Wish he'd gone to 6 to 7 foot. Don't like seeing the bottom when looking down at the fish. Seems like 6 foot to me. I mean, that's 6 to 7 foot is one heck of a depth.
Really deep.
One hell of a hole to dig.
Yeah.
For me, it's getting out of it.
Yeah, maybe.
If you fall in all seriousness, if you've got a straight edge pond and you fall, I mean, when people come over the farm in the summer and they see how deep the reefer canal is, I get a little bit when I'm walking next to the edge of it, because I'm 6'1" and that's about 6.5 foot deep. And even that, when you stand in there empty, and there's no way you'd get out of it, by the way, if you fell into it, because it's clay. You just keep slipping back. And it's
like the swimming pool. You get out of the swimming pool, they're 6 foot deep. You just put your hands on side and push up and spring out. But forgetting the
But
fact
not everybody's a strong swimmer.
exactly, yeah, and fully weighted with clothing on and what have you as well could make it a little bit dangerous and a bit dodgy. One comment there again from Up North Koi Pond. Depth is the difference between thriving and surviving, in my opinion.
Yeah, fish do seem to grow bigger in the deeper ponds. I don't know. It's an awful lot of water. Like, if you've ever got to drain it, it just takes forever.
Yeah.
I think it's got to substantially drain it, just be able to get in the damn thing.
Yeah.
Even if the weight was on. But as short as me.
I mean, 2 foot, like, that's a. I mean, you have to take at least 5, 6 out of that, aren't you?
I go back to my original statement. My local fishing lake around here, in areas it's just maybe deep, which is about 3 foot, and in other areas it's, you know, well over my head in 6 foot. So, you know, the small little growing pond that they've got at the side, which at one point we're going to use for just growing fish on to put into the bigger pond afterwards, not the same pond, lake, whatever you want to class it as. That was only about 3 foot deep, and everything seemed to grow to the same size. Never had any issues. Never seen the fish in there stayed constant and grew just the same rates as the fish in the big, massive one, with different depths to it. So I reckon fish can thrive and survive in shallow waters myself. And if you look, for example, on some of the YouTube videos that are out there, a lot of these koi farms or fish farms, if you look around, none of the tanks are holding 100% because it's practically impossible to keep up to 1,000 tanks that are all, you know, topped up every day, water changes every day. And there are fish thriving and surviving and breeding in no more than centimetres of water around the feet, swimming around them as they're walking in and about there. But I mean, that we're talking tropical. Again, they're living in millimetres of water that are surviving. So, I mean, I'm not saying I disagree with you up North Koi, but I've seen videos on YouTube where what's the chap called, Jack? Co-op.
Aquarium Co-op.
Yeah, Aquarium Co-op. He does. He goes to one of a breeder over in States, and they are literally fish swimming around the feet from all sorts of sizes, 6 to 8 inch to, you know, tiny little tiddlers, and they're all
That's
breeding.
like in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, natural environment around them.
I mean, the other thing as well is cost of water nowadays. I mean, that's going up. Same as electric, going up and up and up. And it's going to be the point where that's going to determine the size of your pot.
Yeah.
So how you can afford to fill it with.
I think that's going to be a big issue this year, and perhaps, you know, next year if it pushes on and continues to get worse. I think that's going to be a big issue for a lot of people. All these heated ponds, all these big expensive systems are all got running up and going, and I think a lot of people are going to be cutting back and tightening up on the old purse strings, or if not, some might even close down and get rid of the ponds because it's going to become that expensive. Certainly, people like myself with a smaller pond might not be really noticing that much of a difference, but obviously it's going to get a little bit bigger. But it makes you think twice, doesn't it? It really does make you think about what you're going to do and what you're going to change it to.
Yeah.
I think I do. I have noticed in my time on being on Facebook groups that a lot of people do tend to kind of build their ponds in line with what they can afford to do, not, you know, what is the best size to build. You know, to them, it's like you got the cost of water, the cost of medications, the cost of filtration, and the electric and everything. So, yeah, if you build too big, then you're going to have one heck of a big bill. But if you keep it into what you can budget for, then that's what I find a lot of people do tend to go for.
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest hitter. The first comment, like we said, the bigger your pond, the more expensive it comes to treating it. And boy, are pond treatments expensive, especially when you've got mass bodies of water. It must cost a fortune. Yeah. They're not, are they? Let's face it, anything with the word koi on the side of it.
That just escalates the price, yeah.
Can I do another shameless plug?
Go on, Jack.
on Sunday, if you head over to reeferaquatics.com, there's a video that's coming out on my channel within the next couple of weeks. Think storage hunters, but pond hunters. And it may or may so happen that there's an awful lot of koi treatments that are literally 50% off retail. So if anybody does want to snap up a bargain, feel free to head on over for Sunday, because they'll all be on the website for them. So yeah, just to interject on koi treatments being expensive. Maybe not for the next 3 weeks or so until I've run out of stock.
I think I might have to get myself a new little tick from the bottom for when you go. I'm going to, so I can just flick it on and change it for a shameless plug.
You see, Scott, it slides up before it does it. It's
Guys, every time Jack says the words shameless plug, I hope you're getting a good commission rate here.
Yeah, that's it.
100% to nothing, still nothing in it, mate.
Right, we've got a couple more of these comments to go through and have a quick look at. And we'll bring a few of them up. While you get prepared and ready for your next question, Phil, if that's all right with yourself.
Absolutely.
We've messaged them from Black Country Koi Blog. Don't mention Ghost Koi, Gary. That's a little hint.
Funniest thing on the internet for months.
I've got four.
There we go, Pond Life. There's probably put a message up there when you've come in and said hi at some point. Anyway, I apologise if I missed it, but I'm going to do a little shameless plug, and I shall do it right now. This arrived for me today, and I'd like to say thank you very much, mate. I hope mine is, if not with you, shall be with you shortly. So, thank you very much, and a little plug there for Pond Life. Please go check them out if anybody out there. Link.
I can beat you there, Phil.
Don't worry. I've got you.
Here we go. This is me getting copyright.
To be fair, my claim to fame.
Well.
Crikey.
My claim to fame, I had the first ever Pond Life mug. That's my claim to fame.
Mine hopefully should be with you. If you've not already received it, fingers crossed you have. If you've not, it should be with you very shortly, mate. It is definitely in the post. And I was told it should take a day or two, so I'm guessing perhaps maybe Friday or Saturday, mate, for it to be with you. We bought 2 Israeli koi, both died after having one of it. So that's a bit of a negative bump, but after having a couple of months, it didn't affect any of our other koi either.
Yeah.
Sorry for the bad news, mate, for the loss of your fish. But I mean, yeah, if you've lost a fish in your pond, does it mean it were an Israeli? I guess not, but yeah.
I want one of them cups, Gary.
It be any time from any country or wherever it's from. It's not nice to ever lose a fish. So sorry for your loss, mate.
What's good about that comment, though, is a lot of people use the scaremongering tactics with Israeli. Oh, if Israeli could die in your pond, they'll give everything KHV and everything up there. You have to start all over again. That's not true. So it just goes to show everything else. It didn't affect any of the other koi. So again, goes back to the whole argument that we were on about earlier on, or discussion, should I say, that we were having earlier on.
We've got a hey from Stubbs Aquatics. Loving the new logo, mate. Looks nice. Happy with that. Looks pretty good, bud. Been listening a while. Painting the kitchen. Hey.
I'll tell you what, but that's like watching paint, right? Isn't it, doing that? Actually
doing this and painting, that is for sure.
I'm actually being a traitor to my own channel tonight because instead of using my own mug, I'm actually using one of Wrighty's.
There you go. Another shameless plug there, right? If you are watching,
I've got a whole shelf more if you want to see them all.
All right, mate. No one likes to show off.
Gary.
Hello.
I want one of them HS mugs.
One of them ones.
Yeah. I want one of them.
I will sort you one out.
When my new car comes.
Oh, this is a pond channel. You can't talk cars.
Are you dealing mugs, mate?
Technically, we've already gone through cars. We've all said his favourite kind of one and what we want to have.
I'll sort you one out, Mick.
Does Shelton reckons the average pond, he would reckon, would be 5,000 to 6,000 litres as an average?
Yeah, I'd go with that.
I'm spot on there then with 5,500 litres.
Yeah.
And it's not the size, is it? It's how many fish can survive.
Yeah.
But you know the pond.
It's what you
know
do
all the
with
ponds
fish that
we've
counts, mate.
You know all the ponds we've got, and they say, "Oh, the ideal size is this, the ideal thing's that, the ideal thing's that." Surely nobody knows what the ideal thing is for them because they are the nature. It's nature, isn't it? So
Well, yeah.
we're assuming that's the ideal size. That's that. The optimum conditions. But I think we've hit it.
That was my point, mate, at the beginning. It's literally somebody's opinion of what it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, them being in the natural environment, but they're not natural, are they? They're
No.
kind of
Sterile, crystal clear.
No, they're a man-made crossbred hybrid.
Exactly. So technically, they can be in anything that anybody says is the ideal size. Here we go. I need to make this tick.
No shameless plug. So again, what I do on about it's little things that all go up to what the averages are. So a koi only really has 4 prime growing seasons in it. So in the UK, there's this weird habit of how fast can I grow a koi in a certain amount of time. That doesn't necessarily mean you've got a good koi.
No.
No, with a koi having sort of 4 optimal growing seasons, which by the way only actually last for about 2.5 to 3.5 months every year. Those are the times where you want to be pounding in as much food as your filtration could possibly take, and then you back off, and I mean really back off how much food you're putting in there, and then you see yourself who wants the wheat germ, and then for me the moment it gets below 10, don't feed. That's how the Japanese get high quality fish with the right coloration, with the right size, because if you pound too much size into a fish, you're going to rip its colours and it'll never go back. If you force that fish to grow a lot faster, you're going to come a cropper later on. Your colours are going to start morphing, your colours are going to start moving to places where they shouldn't move, like seaweeds and stuff like that, when that move on a shirowatsuri. If you pound too much size into that, you're going to really stretch that colour out and really water down that sumi that's there. So that's probably another factor of what really goes into it. By the time people have got, say, a toe-side fish or a knee-side fish, the majority of people that get them in the UK aren't rearing them for sport. They're rearing them for the enjoyment side of things. A lot of people in the UK actually underfeed their cut. And to be fair, it's very difficult without weighing your koi to know exactly how much you should be feeding it as well, which obviously that's a deeper dive down Alice in Wonderland's rabbit hole. But like I say, that's another thing that will go into the factors of the average sort of size pond. So when you accumulate all these different things together, that's probably why you are talking normally between sort of 3 to 4 foot. That sort of maximum sort of 5 to 6,000. Your average size fish, because not every fish has got it in it to grow to 95 cm, 102 cm, 109 cm. Do you know what I mean? The majority of fish that you'll see in the UK that are from your average home grower, and I'm not talking people like us guys that have gone to the absolute extreme. I'm talking your average goes to a garden centre, may have 1 or 2 Israeli, possibly Japanese fish, possibly Polish fish in the ponds, where they started out at a local garden centre, they went to a little bit more upmarket. They feed an average kind of tetra food or an average kind of local mom and pop pet store or bait store kind of shop, and they're putting in average sort of food volumes. Them fish are really only realistically going to get to between, I would say, 40 and 55 cm. Because of those 4 keen growing seasons. They will still put on a little bit, but that's why when fish are getting to sort of 4, 5 years old, growth rate dramatically goes from this every year to just putting on tiny bits from there on.
Yeah. Quick one first of all. Seaver's Pond. Evening all. Evening Keith. Hope you're good, mate. Bring that one in there. I don't personally. Hey, there we go. Little shameless. again, for me, going back to nature, I believe that fish shouldn't be fed in the way that a lot of people feed the fish. I believe the extra food that they get given and the growth that some of them get on them just isn't natural. But again, koi aren't naturally a natural fish. They've been enhanced, altered, bloodlines bred with to make them like what we have nowadays. Your 100 cm fish pluses. But I think if anything is forced to grow by giving it mass, you only have to have a look at certain bodybuilders.
Exactly.
The lifespans reduce because of all the supplements and everything else that they take. Is it necessarily a good thing to force extra growth into a fish if it puts stresses on their organs and such? Not saying it is or isn't, guys, just my opinion. I think everything in moderation is good for everything. But if you bang a lot of everything into something to just force a heck of a lot of a growth, does it shorten its lifespan?
I was going to ask the same question.
Yeah. How long do these massive fish live for when they've grown to these sizes? Do we reduce the size of the fish?
Yes, is the answer.
Yeah, well, I personally.
I mean, these
ones that seem to grow.
I mean, these tosai. Tosai at 40, 50 cm.
Someone put a really good comment at the bottom. A really good comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Oh, let's bring it up. It'd be interesting to see how time will tell on an Isai that are 60 cm or more.
Yeah.
That will never be a grand champion. Never. The colour rate on that will be extortionately pulled out all over the place. It's a fine balance. That's why when the Japanese do theirs, they use the full feeding seasons, because that's the optimum for growth and coloration.
Evening, development for growth, I say. I would probably agree with you too, mate. I'd rather have a nice developed fish over massive. I mean, sometimes when we went to shows, some of the fish you can say, yeah, wow, they're beautiful. But some of them looked kind of
disgusting.
Ugly.
Yeah. You can imagine being a really nice fish while they were smaller, but the fact that they'd become that size, they looked a little bit
overstretched.
Yeah. Overdone with it, a bit too much.
Yeah.
My koi journey. Hi, Mick. Do you have a YouTube channel, mate? Unfortunately, my koi journey, Mick doesn't as of yet, but you never know what the future could bring.
Channel link come through.
No, I don't think so. Not yet.
Quick question there from Jamie. Would feeding garlic in the summer help koi in the winter months? I think feeding garlic in the summer months would have already been processed and out through the waste system before they get to the winter months. Personally myself, it's a feed that goes normally hand in hand with wheat germ and tends to be more of a winter-based thing than a summer-based thing. Most summer feeds tend to be high protein, growth, colouring enhancing, so that you can get the best out of your fish throughout those summer period months.
With garlic, is it true that feeding garlic on in the food help to prevent parasite? I've heard that parasites don't like garlic. That's bogus.
No, so again, this was at the Koi Talk, and this is why when I'm on, obviously when I keep pushing on my live streams for people to join the local BKKS Koi clubs, they have talks on every single month, and like this one that we went to was absolutely incredible. So garlic is used in food as what's called an attractant. So in high growth, high coloration food, it will have garlic powder in it because you want your koi to take all of that on when you're in that feeding season. Garlic, like me and Mick had a really good chat in a store about it yesterday, didn't we? About garlic in essence will kind of make the fish sweat to a certain degree. I say sweat loosely because obviously you're not going to sweat in water, but what it does is it forces the garlic through the mucus. Now, parasites don't particularly like it, and that's where unscrupulous brands come into play by advertising this staves off parasites. It doesn't. If you're going to get a parasite, you are going to get it. It just aids in when you're treating it for that parasite to be moving all over the place. Don't really want to be on it. There's loads of salt in it. There's a bit of FMG in it. Oh, now there's a bit of garlic in it. I'm letting go.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to explain it.
Could also be a way to prevent spawning. I mean, because we all know what it's like when you come across something and you think, Jesus Christ, tell you about garlic. You don't know any of that,
Yeah.
We've got another little comment here which should make me giggle. Feed them past and tastes a lot better on the grill. They say parasites are irritated by garlic from John. I'd heard the same, John, but again, I know nothing, so this is just an opinion. With regards to feeding garlic in the summer months, would it really help? So we're on that one. We're pretty much thinking, no, not really.
I'd say 50-50 split. I'd say 50-50 split from the answers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would, but not if you feed it in the summer, it's going to help in the winter. I think yeah, it would help some. It would be beneficial, but not over a long period of time because they don't have a stomach like other animals do in the animal world, do they? They just have a digestive tract. And they get all the nutrients from the digestive tract. So it would help, but not months down the line if you feed it in summer and you expect to get anything in winter. No, it won't work like that. No.
They do reckon that garlic's good for the blood and all the rest of it for humans, though, don't they? So I mean, there's a beneficial side of it for its medicinal purposes in the sense of, it's a good food to ingest for better health in a sense.
Yeah.
Blood thinner.
Hi, Mike. Welcome.
Very good, mate. Just thought I'd bob that one up and say a quick hello. Koi Beginnings has basically put to the answer to that. In his opinion, is no.
He was also at the Birmingham Koi Club meet last night.
Ginger Vikings question, just so we can throw a few other in the mix, is my only question is when the Koi fan YouTube? When's it actually coming? Is it going to be coming?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is coming. Yes, you heard it here first on GKP Live.
A particular year?
Probably towards the end of this year, I think.
Plenty to do, mate. In the meantime,
Awful lot ready for. So
what you could do is you could always be banking up loads and loads of footage, and you'll always be months ahead in everything. It'd be,
I have been recording already, so
I've got a Google Drive dedicated to him.
we're just stockpiling it. But yeah, I want to get footage, underwater footage of spawning and stuff this summer as well, or spring.
See if we can get some. That'd be good to watch.
Yeah,
we've got a question in here for Jack. And feel free, guys, if you want to ask anybody individual. Jack, what do you think of the Koi Club talk when it was talking about certain brands just using other companies' products?
It's one of those. With anything that's going to be mass marketed, it's going to happen all the time. So there's a cereal place around the corner from me in Crewe called Warmflake. They make low brand budget cereals for supermarkets. Kellogg's, if you check the back of your different branded boxes, you'll find they all come out of a Kellogg's factory as well. And it's the same with the koi food. So Coppens, for example, Coppens produce, I think it's something like either 60 or 80% of all the koi foods in the UK. Now, just because they produce them does not mean by any stretch of the imagination that it is exactly the same formula that you are getting in a different brand. So each brand will have their own formulas. Each brand will set out their own stuff. A lot of people do repackage Coppens, me included. I actually spoke to the Coppens rep when I was looking at the fry food and said, look, obviously I want to do my own fry food this year. And he says, just do what everybody else does. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, there's different koi farms in the UK. Obviously, I'm not going to name them, but there's different koi farms in the UK that repackage our food up as their own. I said, is that not an issue? He says, all I care about is how many packets of food you're going to buy for me this year, mate. And all it is the whole money talks game to it, really. Why would you want to spend hundreds and thousands, if not millions of pounds researching on a food product that may well fail on the first 10 to 30 tries and you get right the 31st try, when you can approach somebody like Coppens and say, right, I want to bring out my own brand food. For example, a lot of people don't know this, JPD, these manufactured by Coppens.
Yeah.
As in Japanese koi food manufactured by Coppens. And that's all it is. They've got one of the largest manufacturing plants in Europe. They're the biggest dog food manufacturer in Europe. A lot of koi treatments are used on animal. A lot of byproducts that are in your koi food are also going into the likes of your cat foods, your bird foods, your dog foods. So there is a massive market for it. There's only so many manufacturers doing certain things, but you can cross that over into various different walks of life as well. So for me, it doesn't particularly faze me that 15 companies may use the same distribution centre. What would faze me is if I'd developed my own formula and then another company was using the exact same one. That's where I would have an issue.
Yeah.
There we go. So, quick question from Keith. So, does salt in the pond help to eradicate parasites? I think we had this topic last week and pretty much came to an agreement that the Japanese use salt to prevent and treat the fish and the koi. Does it eradicate parasites? To an element, I would say. I would say personally it does to some extent, but depends. Phil's head's shaking there. I'm guessing Phil thinks no, but I'll put it to you this way then, Phil. Prior to this, last year when I purchased my fish, I've always salted my ponds. Never had parasites. I bought a fish from a show, brought it back home, and introduced parasites.
Mm.
But
yeah.
The other thing, there is another aspect to look at, is I do have a net on my pond. So that also could prevent slugs and snails from being able to get in there to some extent. So it could also be that. But, I'm not saying it does, but I do salt my pond. Always have, always will. Stick with what the old guys do.
Some people swear by it, and some people say it's a load of rubbish. I mean, I've got absolutely nothing against salt, and to be honest with you, if all else fails, I would certainly be using it. But I've never been able to read anything definitive. It's all everybody's opinion. I've never been able to read anything definitive to say it actually eradicates parasites. I think absolutely in terms of helping treat parasites, brilliant, but not in terms of completely eradicating them. Yeah. I think the concentration levels would have to be too high for too long, and it would start detrimentally impacting your fish.
Gaz,
my opinion.
If you salt your pond, Gaz, did it actually got parasites produced with this fish, or did you have to treat it separately?
That particular time, that's when I'd literally found out my salt levels were almost completely eradicated from my water changing through the summer. So I would have had to remove the salt anyway to treat for the parasites, because some parasite treatments don't go well with salt. So rather than run the risk, I would have also been, water changing it out, which is what a lot of people say to do. But keeping it, I don't know. It's just old habits die out. It was something my dad's always done, and it's something I did. And my dad never had no issues at any point or any time. And it was always a case of, you give a fish a salt bath if there were an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any problems?
To be fair, Daz, when you say it like that, mate, no. I had zero content of salt in my pond when I went to go get the parasite treatment. I treated it then. And once I'd finished the treatment and the course had run its course, I salted back up to 0.3.
Yeah. Have you ever had any issues with ulcers?
Never had a fish with an ulcer ever.
No, I've heard that as well. So it's
Nor has my dad, to be fair. He's never had his pond. But I have had, you know, when you get like a fluffy white fungus growing on them when a fish took a knock. I did get a little bit of that, and I just treated it accordingly. But yeah, it was never had a fish with an ulcer ever.
I heard it dehydrates parasites as well.
Yeah.
So
I'd say as opposed to eradicating them, more so staves off would be the word I use.
More staves off than eradicates, yeah.
Yeah.
I am a firm believer, by the way, in salting.
I've yet to try it. Well, I have the salt, so I'm going to give it a go in the not too distant future.
Mike, what about colour enhancements?
Sorry, what was that?
Mike's asked a question. What about feeding colour enhancements? You know, food which are a colour enhancing. I did last year, and I've got to admit, what I would say would be a lower grade Kaku now looks like the colours came out on it way better than what it ever looked like when I first got it. So the colour enhancing on that side of things made a massive difference. So to me, it definitely does work, but I did get a tinge to my water too feeding it. But I were banging a bit more in than what I would do normally summer months. But yeah, I mean, I do, Mike. I have, and I will do, and I will do again, because it definitely did make a difference for me. What about the rest of you think? I don't know.
Did you notice any changes in any black and white fish that you got?
I'd noticed a change in a lot of my fish, mate. A lot of the colours came up.
Did you notice any red blemishes coming across them?
No.
As in any black and white fish? Because what a lot of colour enhancements are is, and again, finding this out last night, a lot of it is shrimp or krill that they actually put in, which in turn will always pick out the red in a koi. So when you see, like for example, you've got a lot of Shiro series in your pond or a lot of Beckos in your pond or anything like that, and you're feeding a colour enhancer, A, you'll tinge the white ever so slightly pink, but B, if you've got a Benny spot on that fish, that colour enhancer will pick that pigment out, and in turn, it can cause it to spread across your fish. Last night we were advised not to use colour enhancing foods all year round, and to only use if you are looking to compete or just looking to add a little bit of flair. So sort of little and often, as opposed to being colour enhancing, is my main summer food, so to speak.
Is it called carotenoids?
Yes, mate.
Carotenoids. Yeah.
Yeah,
I always
carotenoids, yeah.
with
Carrot.
foods. But like you say, you get the colour enhancing as well from the freshwater shrimps, don't you, as well? So
Yeah.
But yeah, personally, me, I don't just feed that and that alone. So that isn't all they get. I do also mix it in with a staple so that there is a bit of everything in that too with a colour enhancing. I just noticed that when I fed a colour enhancement food, it did make a difference. But same thing, little and often of everything. That's how I tried to do all my feeding. Tried to give them a little bit of something every now and again, and not too much protein, and go through from wheat germ to a staple, from a staple to the growth and colour enhancing, back down to your wheat germ again. I don't just keep them on the same food all year round, or just step from one to the other. I go through 3, maybe 4 different types, and then back pyramid up, and then pyramid back down. That's how I do it, but I'm not saying that's the right way, but it's what I do. Anybody else got any thoughts on feeding the colour enhancement, or would you like to go to Phil's next question so he can bring that one up? There we go then, Phil. Nobody else has got any answers, so let's pick out. We'll go to your next one. Quick one there.
Next discussion point from me then, and again it's aimed at helping people building ponds. My good lady wife Claire, aka the camera lady, accuses me quite often of over researching things, but I find it gives me comfort in terms of I know I'm making the best decision The one area of pond building I could not get my head around is pipe diameters. So what I would like to sort of discuss out there is we all use 4-inch, most of us use 4-inch bottom drains, but realistically, would a smaller diameter pipe actually be better to stop the sediment settling in the pipes? So I've the research that I've done, basically the most sensible research I could find, and Simon up north Coy will probably say this is right or wrong, because obviously I think he's a plumber and he knows all about this stuff. But 4-inch pipe, gravity fed, I've been told 8,500 litres per hour is ideal. 1.5-inch pipe, gravity fed, 3,200 litres per hour. So if I had a 4-inch pipe and a 1.5-inch pipe feeding my filters, that gives me 11,700 litres or 2,500 gallons, which is basically turning over my pipe once. If you're pressure feeding those pipes, basically it's just that doubled. So 4-inch pipe pressure fed, you can force 17,000 litres down an hour. 1.5-inch pipe, 6,500 litres. But is it right? How does it work on our ponds? Should we use 1.5 or should we use 2 inches? Or instead of 4-inch pipe, should we be using 3-inch bottom drains?
So,
what's your thoughts?
For me, just to jump in, sorry, it's about, like you said, Phil, it's about doing your research. How big do you want your pond to be, first off? How are you planning on filtering your pond? What water flow can you put through your filters per hour? And then size your pipe accordingly to that. So there's a chap that put a video out the other day about pressurised pipe versus non-pressurised pipe. Lovely guy, but very one-sided for me. Because again, the difference between saying, oh, you don't have to use pressurised pipe, you're right, you don't. It only goes up to 1.5 bar. But for me, it's a flow that you want to be able to put through that. Your issue is, if you get it wrong, the amount of bacteria issues people are going to face. Yeah. And then that's why people end up dumping buckets of earth tablets into the ponds left, right, and centre, because they haven't built the ponds to the right sort of level. If you've got a 4-inch pipe, pressurised pipe, you're only pushing 12,000 litres an hour through it. I'm telling you now, the bottom of that pipe is going to have an inch of gunk on it by the end of your season. And especially from some YouTubers that I've seen that haven't thought ahead about building in a backwash system, again, there's no way that they can flush that pipe out without manually doing it. And for me, that's an absolute nightmare. If you're going to go to that expense, don't just go gung-ho at it. There's more than enough content out there, like yourself, Phil. Struggle to find it, but when you look at what you can actually push through the ponds, speak to a plumber. Doesn't necessarily have to be a pond builder if you're doing it yourself. Speak to a plumber and say, right, what would you think to do on here? At the end of the day, these guys are dealing with gas boiler systems, which in essence is a ticking time bomb that you've bolted to the side of your house if it goes wrong. So these guys know about the right sort of flow rates and pressure rates and stuff like that as well. So yeah, absolutely nailed on. Know your filtration, know your pond, and then size your pipe work accordingly to that. Bigger isn't always better.
I don't have a bottom drain, so that sounds like a Phil.
It's not just your bottom drain, though, is it? It's your pipe work in general. You know, people tend to.
Pressurized pipes and all the rest of it, and all. I mean, yeah, if you're gonna have bacteria settling in a pipe, waste settling in the bottom of a pipe, you basically got a breeding ground for bad bacteria, aren't you? So I mean, it's not a good thing. So it's something that if you're going to do it, you're going to have to do it and do it right, and make sure that you definitely get those issues removed if they are there. And what would be better, personally for me, not got a clue. I would have to do a lot of research, and I would say, if in doubt, like you say, ask a plumber, ask somebody that knows, ask a specialist.
More people seem to be getting more savvy about it, because you start looking at the builds now, particularly fry builds and things like that. There's lots of people using more. I never saw anything other than a 4-inch drain, bottom drain, when I was building mine, but you see more 3-inch being used now. You see 2-inch bottom drains being used. You see 1.5-inch pipe being used through main filter runs instead of 2-inch pipe. and it all seems to be about making sure there's no build-up of crud in the pipes. It makes sense.
You're saying the smaller the diameter, then the more you force through, the more likely you are to force everything through that pipe and get no cloggage or backup or build-up.
In very simple terms, yeah. If you use a 2-inch pipe and a 12,000 litre per hour pump, or you use a 1.5-inch pipe, the 1.5-inch pipe in theory is going to remain clearer for longer because of the amount of flush going through there.
An easy add-on, if people have sized it wrong, put a Verifo pump onto your system that's massively overpowered, because obviously you can turn them up and turn them down. So then you can rip through the amount of water that you need, maybe once a week, once a week in the summer. I'd be personally, if I had got it wrong. But again, a lot of people, like you say, Phil, when you built yours, it may not necessarily have been that, right, okay, everyone's doing it. That's obviously the way to go. As time goes on, obviously people learn more, etc., as we all do. Hindsight's a great thing until you've put 12 inches worth of concrete around that pipe. Do you know what I mean? So the easiest way to sort of fix that issue is massively increase your pump on there on a Veriflow. So then you can literally rip through that water, and then you can figure out the logistics on your filter house side of things of saying, right, okay, I need to step from this 4, and I need to put a T-junction on there with a ball valve this end, which is where my waste is. That's got to stay as a 4, because I can't step from a 4 down to a 2-inch because the pressure is going to be astronomically high. And then on the other side, then step from your 4-inch down to your 2-inch, which would then in turn go back into your filters. So when you aren't running it on purge mode, so to speak, and then it's going from that 4 down into a 2, that's just when your filtration system's running normally. And then obviously you've got your ball valve that you then turn off on your drain on the back.
I've got to be completely honest. When I looked, putting my pond together and, what I was going to have in it, whether it's going to be bottom drain, 3-inch, 4-inch, I actually cheated and just said, you build ponds for a living. There's the money. Come and build it for me. So, yeah, I used a pond builder to do mine.
But again, did you do any research, though? And this isn't me picking fault, by the way.
No.
So, again, you could have been in the same boat as Phil when he built his. That pond builder could have been 4 inches the way to go. 4 inches the new in thing. So again, it could be the same principle for yourself. That's why I'd always advise. It's like when you go buy a car, you do a little bit of research about the car, but the salesman on that forecourt knows that car inside out, back to front.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, you want to be able to pick little bits of that knowledge just to check that, okay, yeah, that is the right motor for me after all, because I know I need this, this, and this, but he's told me it does this, this, and that. So I'd still strongly advise people, do your own research. Don't just go off.
I cheated and took the lazy option. You guys all know him. He's Mark Herries from Mark's Country Koi. So he said what I needed to order, what size bottom drain, what size pipe work, and he just built it. So I just ordered and paid for what he said I needed. So I've got the 3-inch spin drifter bottom drain, which is on 3-inch pipe, and it's 1.5 return back from Easy Pod.
Yeah.
As you do, that's what you would get somebody in to do it for you. You just pay the bill, guys.
Yeah, like I say, I completely cheated because it's not that I haven't got the ability to.
Whatever works for the individual, isn't it? It's whatever's easiest, whatever you go with. If you took what you're saying there is you went down the professional route and got a professional to come in with your spec and build what you needed to build.
I just said what size I want the pond. I just basically said the dimensions I want the pond and I want it built out of sleepers. He said to me that I'd want a 3-inch spin drifter bottom drain, 3-inch pipe, 1.5 back from the filter, and he come and done it for me. It's not that I couldn't have researched it and done it myself. I just didn't, because of my health and everything. I just didn't have the physical ability to build my own pond. That's why I employed a pond contractor to come and do it for me.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a massive balance. And actually, you've got to do your research. I think at the end of the day, you've got to be comfortable with what you're doing. If you're paying a professional to build your pond, you expect them to know the rights and wrong, and that does take a lot of headache from you. Unfortunately, I tried to go down that route, and it all went a little bit pear-shaped for me at the very beginning. So I ended up building most of it myself. But But you know, it's just the advice I'm trying to give people, and it is just purely my opinion, is you know, you've got to do your research. It's a fine line between over-engineering something and making it practical and efficient. And that's the bit you're trying to get to. You know, you want best value for money, best for your fish, best for your garden size, everything we talked about this morning. Put into a big pot, and you will end up with your ideal pond at that time in whatever you're trying to do.
Yep.
And then 5 years later, you build one twice as big. Hey!
I think in the last 4 years, I'm now on pond version 6. So, you know, every 8 or so months, it's like, them fish are outgrowing that bugger. We got to make it bigger.
Mm.
But
See, Claire's answer to that would be buy some smaller fish.
Either that or be move out. But yeah, I don't think I'd go bigger again. If I was to go and turn around the Kaz and say, I'm knocking your greenhouse down because I want a bigger pond, I think I'll be out that door like a shot.
Skeggy's put there 14, yes. So 4-inch needs at least 17 k's litre to keep it flushed. A 4-inch pipe, sorry, there you go. 4-inch pipe needs 17 k litres per hour to keep it flushed.
And that's the figure I got as well. Yeah, it's the same.
Does it also change, or does it also change the pipe size on length of the run, or do you stay the same?
I don't know the answer to that question.
I can only give you an opinion on that one, so I wouldn't like to say.
Matt's comment there, or Kyle's comment there, should I say, from Matt's Core UK, you can never over-research something, 100%, mate. Always better to...
You can give yourself a bloody bad headache, though, trying to come up with a definitive answer.
Sometimes you can overcomplicate what you're researching by finding so many different conflicting things. You don't know whether you're coming or going, and you don't know which one to actually choose or go with. But yeah, I agree, Matt. Sorry, Kyle. You can never do too much research, but sometimes you can find too much.
Yeah.
Another thing to bear in mind on pipe work as well is obviously your bends. So for every bend you've got, you need to add a foot of high pressure.
Yeah.
So that's another thing as well. The best one that I've seen when me and Daz, when we went over to Winnicott, and they let us into the back to see their quarantine systems. Literally, bottom drain, drum, shower, 3 bends. That was it. Simple pipe work when it does.
It was, yeah, but it worked. It's so effective.
Paul says I have an 18,000 litre per hour through gravity 4-inch bottom drain and a 6,000 litres per hour gravity through a 2-inch skimmer. It barely manages to get the amount of water. Sorry, it manages to get that amount of water through.
Yeah.
So what were your figures again, Phil, on a 4-inch gravity fed?
So 4-inch gravity. Sorry, 4-inch gravity. So no pressure, 8,500 litres, but pressure, 17,000 litres. So these figures all seem to be around the same thing, what people are saying. And on a 1.5-inch pipe, 3,200 litres gravity, 6,500 litres under pressure, keep the pipe clean. So, yeah.
So he believes, I know right, use a 3-inch bottom drain instead of a 4-inch because he believes it's better flow.
Yep.
Yeah. More pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying I would have changed mine if I'd have known now what I knew then, but I the saving grace for me is building in a purge valve. So I've built mine with a rodding point in case I get anything stuck, like a dead fish. But I've also built so I can purge it as well. So I've only purged it about 3 times. I did one 2 weeks ago coming out just to see what was in there after the winter sort of thing, and there's just virtually nothing. So as I say, I'm running mine at about 12,000 litres an hour. So it must be just about keeping it clear.
I've got to be totally honest. When my pond was built, I haven't got a purge valve in my system. When I do my what I call my bottom drain purge, I purge it into the easy pod and send it straight to waste. My total pipe run from the bottom drain to the easy pod inlet is only about 5 foot.
Zero Cool says he's got 3,500 gallons, all on 2-inch. We got the question for Phil from Keith. Phil, when are we coming to see your pond?
Mate, as soon as the covers come off, you've got an invite. You can all come round. We'll arrange something.
Brilliant. Sounds good to me.
That means obviously means I'm not taking the covers off this year. No, only joking. Yeah, as soon as the covers come off, mate, you're very welcome round.
Talking of Jack and his shameless plugs, I'm going to do myself one. Guys, if you're enjoying what you're watching, if you could do me a huge, great big favour, perhaps maybe hit that subscribe, perhaps maybe share it, like it, thumbs up, and give us a bit of, feedback on what you think, how you think it's going. There are 33 people right now. We have 24. We have some 44 I've seen at one point in the live stream. Give us a bit of thumbs up, guys, if you're liking it. If you're not liking it, dislike it, and then show yourself out. But if you are enjoying it, give a thumbs up. Enjoying it. There's no hard to follow. If you're not liking it, there's no point giving it a thumbs down and staying around, is there? So
No, but if somebody's got something constructive, though, obviously leave that in the comments if it's constructive.
Something you would like to tell us and say, something more or different, some kind of feedback as to what you would like to see in it. Feel free to share them in the comments, and I will go back through and have a read of them all and see what I can, help to make this better for everybody else. I hope you're enjoying the format that we've got by hopefully trying to get regular guests on, somebody else come on and have a chat with us and discuss what things they'd like to put to the panel, so to speak, and you, the viewers. So like I said, anyway, 34 in now watching. Share, give us a bit of a thumbs up, guys. Appreciate it. It helps me grow my channel. That's what it's all about. Phil, would you like to fire away with your next one?
Well, I was interested in one of the comments that appeared earlier up about, I can't remember who posted the comment, but is can you have too much movement in a moving bed filter?
Oh, that was Skeggy.
I read that, yeah.
It was Skeggy. And the reason that resonates with me is because when I bought my filter, I did everything by the book, and I went everything that was recommended in the manual. I went out and bought the air pump and everything that was recommended. Put it on. The filter was bubbling like a jacuzzi. I've never seen anything like it. And then when I put the air pump on the bottom drain that I was recommended, again, it was like the fish must have wondered what the heck was going on. So, in my opinion, I think the correct answer is yes. You can over agitate a moving bed filter. I've put different air pumps on. I think I'm only pushing about 40 litres a minute. Is it a minute or an hour? I can't remember now. I'm only pushing a very, very small amount through the moving bed, and it's just, there's no dead spots. It's just enough to keep it agitating and moving, rather than if you see, when you're boiling a filter, it's and knocking all the good bacteria off.
If I can, Phil.
Yeah.
Sorry, if I can. I've just found Skeggy's question. It was, can a moving bed or fluid bed filter move too much?
Yeah, I was just trying to find it so I could bring it up on screen, but I did read it and I was going to pull that one up.
It can take an awful lot longer as well for your media to get cycled if it's moving far too much. Again, Righty has got a brilliant video on the right sort of turnover rate when he does his 3-step barrel filter system build. Again, if it's moving too violently and you are bubbling it, you just want to make sure everything's moving. The ideal ratio that you need is 30% to whatever your litrage is. So if you're looking at a 100-litre drum, or 100-litre bears, you want like sort of 30 litres. The moment you start putting in more, you're going to run the risk of finding dead spots. And just because everything on the top's moving doesn't mean that it's not locked in the bottom left or something like that. So there's a lot of research has gone in by these manufacturers to find out what the optimums are when it comes to things like literage of your K1 and stuff like that. The moment you start smashing the air through it, in essence, all you're doing is bubbling that filter, like you say, bubbling that filter to clean it. So it is a fine balance. If you go a little bit too low, again, you're going to have to turn your air down, because if not, you're going to stick to that kind of clean mechanism as opposed to that filtering mechanism.
But correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the point of putting an airline in the K1 box to counteract the oxygen that's been used up by the bacteria as well? So you're replacing the oxygen in the filter before it gets back in the pond. So it's not just about agitating it and turning it over. It's about putting the oxygen in to feed the bacteria.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Because we've seen that video, haven't we? We've watched when it's switched off, how much it drops down.
And that's
the oxygen.
how fast it drops.
Yeah. One quick silly question here. Yeah, Jack. Why is Jack on screen as the balding reefer?
I am indeed on as the balding reefer. Let me see if I can change that in my settings. What it basically is I have really fat fingers. And my keyboard and my phone is really small.
The balding reefer.
I've been called worse.
Balding reefer.
Right, little question here. From Jamie again. What's your thoughts on Alpha Grog and other medias? I'll take a stab at this one first of all. I think, again, it's all boiled down to how much money you've got and how much you can afford for better quality medias. i.e., Alpha Grog does have some benefits to it, but obviously it's not as good as others. Personally, I do use it myself in a little bit of the trickle filter system that I've got. I have used it for the last 3.5, 4 years, and it seems to do a reasonable job. Yes, there are other ones out there better. Yes, they do cost more, and they will do a better job. But I think it's each to your own, and how deep are your pockets?
Also, what filtration are you using as well?
Yeah.
Because if you're submerging Alpha Grog, you have nothing but problems. Alpha Grog's wicked in a backy shower or a trickle shower or something like that. Yeah. But the moment you submerge Alpha Grog, it is a bacteria harbouring ground.
Yeah.
So again, know your filters, think about what you want to do, and then go off that accordingly to what you want to put in. Like Jack Mattin, for example, is a fantastic water polisher, and obviously a fantastic mechanical filter as well. I would probably go for something like K1 in a static chamber as opposed to putting Alpha Grog in there, because you're going to come up with nothing but issues.
Yeah.
MAKC Core UK has the opposite opinion to you there, Jack, and says Alpha Grog works better submerged.
Fair enough. Is there any reason why, Kyle, you think that? I'm not saying that you're wrong, by the way, for any stretch of the imagination. It's just from the research that I've seen and experience of using Alpha Grog submerged. It is, don't get me wrong, it will filter, but it is a harbouring ground for bad bacteria.
Yeah.
So you will still get bacteria colonising in it, but under a scope, you will find more bad bacteria than you will good bacteria.
Yeah. I've actually used Alpha Grog in both kind of settings. One in my box filter rather than a plastic bio balls, because I found Alpha Grog to be better, which that's in the bio chamber, that's the most underwater, where in my backy shower, I used it in the backy shower and I found it to actually be quite a good media for backy showers, just as many other people do.
Mine's only been ever running in a trickle form of system, so I can't really say one or the other, but from what I've seen on other people's channels, a lot of people submerge it, and they seem to be submerging it in Cockney coil systems as perhaps maybe the last section for it to go through prior to returning.
My previous pond had it submerged in a 4-bay multi-filter.
Yeah.
Had really good water quality. So horses for courses.
This is it. That's the beauty. What works for one might not necessarily work for another. Danny's Poi Pond, for example, he's about 11 miles from me. There's certain filter medias he can use that I can't, and I can and he can't. Because again, depending on what's in your water, harbours various different things.
Yeah.
Again, we've got a comment there from Skeggy. I've got grog in my grog filter. It's a harboring ground for anaerobic bacteria too. I'm not so sure the properties of alpha grog are all that good for anaerobic bacteria. And I think
compared to others in the market, it's not.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, they're not bad, but not brilliant, are they? Not when you think of other ones that are there that have got better aerobic qualities to them. It's the same. To simplify it, the fact is, Alpha Grog does do its job and does work. But again, it's like the Mini versus the Ferrari. Which one's going to get to the finish line first, and which one gets there fast and does it better? You know, it's one of them things. The more you pay, the better quality minis you get. That all have some form of qualities to them. I think personally myself.
Are you guys hearing more about the longevity though of all these backhouse medias and all these ceramic medias now, the high temperature fired ones? I'm reading more and more now about how they breaking down super quick. They just don't last that long.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of people saying that as well.
Yeah.
So,
it's
expensive.
in mind.
But isn't that also true with any ceramic media or any backy shower media, even alpha grog, over any extent of time, it's going to break down and fall apart?
No, alpha grog. I don't think alpha grog does.
I think you can whack that stuff with an hammer and it does some breaking down. Never mind.
Yeah, I think pumice is fairly robust as well. I'm just, the price of this stuff is so. I've got no doubt it's absolutely superb for what it does when it's working optimum, but just be a bit concerned spending all that money and it only lasts a couple of seasons.
Yeah,
I've noticed that the ceramic stuff does wear down.
Yeah,
it starts off quite crisp and sharp edges, but after a couple of seasons, it's really well rounded. It definitely does wear down and erode.
I mean, Daz, what's that new media you're going to try out this year?
Which one's that, Mick?
The ball one.
Oh, the ball was they look like lemon drops. I'm not sure what they're actually called, but they're a ceramic media. I think they're like a glass-fired thing. They're expensive. About 100
It'll be
quid
very
a bag.
interesting to see.
Yeah, I've got them set up in the back of the shower at the moment. It's just not actually connected. I'll get it connected.
They look like bomb-bombs.
They do, yeah. It's supposed to be very good.
He's put there, CMS doesn't break down, not like Lotus stuff. Mike, I took out my backhouse media because it crumbles.
Yeah.
I think everybody seems to have different. I think when you're putting over fast flow rates as well, and you see that it's crumbling down and it's breaking down, I think that's purely. I mean, water's a pretty powerful thing. It really. You see what it does as erosion throughout the, all over the world.
You cut through steel with it, can't you? When it's under pressure,
it's a powerful product.
Yeah.
Right then, Phil. What's your next one? Or do you have the next one?
I do, yeah. My last question, it's still on the air theme, is do you really need a spin drifter type bottom drain in your pond? Does it really actually oxygenate the water, or are you getting more than you actually need through, for example, a moving bed filter or something like that? Because I find at the end of last year, mine was turned off more than it was turned on, even in sort of the height of summer, because I couldn't see the fish. Just want to see the fish more, and I kept checking the oxygen levels, and they were brilliant, just with the air going into the moving bed.
When were you testing your oxygen levels, mate?
When?
Yeah, what time of day?
7 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock at night.
Was there much of a difference between the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.?
7 a.m. was definitely lower, but not massive difference.
So an oxygen crash will normally come between the hours of 3 a.m. and 10 p.m. of the morning. So for me, if what I would do is I'd find the happy medium balance between the two. I'd probably set my spin drifter on a timer plug to go on at sort of 2 a.m. of the morning and then switch off at 10 a.m. of the morning. Because you are right in what you're saying. With you aerating, like I say, your moving bed, there's a lot of oxygen that is going through that. And obviously you've got oxygen when your water's returning to your pond. People think that off a backy shower is a high oxygenated area, and it's actually not. If you measure the water coming out of a backy shower, it's actually a lot less oxygenated than when it was originally going in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's great that you are. A lot of people don't test for oxygen, which I find unbelievably scary. Like, I really do, especially when people have got some really expensive fish in the ponds.
Yeah.
Because it'll never happen during the day. It will happen between sort of 3 a.m. and 10 a.m. And the only reason I know that is because my biggest fear at the moment, until I get my lake aerated, is having a false turnover of the water, because it can happen in minutes. You can literally go from 100% oxygen levels down to 30% in a matter of 10 minutes. The moment that gets below 20%, you're looking at fatalities. Below 10%, you're looking at 98% of your pond being fatal.
Yeah, I think more so in that, Jack. I think isn't that more to do with plant matter and plant life in ponds, about the stripping of oxygen in at night time compared to the daytime.
Algae consumes more through an evening and a night, doesn't it? That takes more oxygen. Yeah. It does.
Yes.
Essentially,
it is a combination of a few different things, to be fair, and temperature as well. The temperature swing between a hot summer's evening versus dropping really cold between sort of 3 and 5, and the sun's rising at 5:30, then the massive upswing in temperature again, because your pond parameter levels are doing that during that sort of period. That's another factor as well. So there is sort of 4 or 5 different things that do affect it, right? Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah.
Guess we'll leave it turned on then for a bit longer.
Personally, for me, mine's on day and night, but I don't have it central to my pond. At the end of the day, mine's towards the back edge, hopefully toward the back side of my pond, but right where my flow is. So when my flow comes back and returns, there are oxygenated water being circulated through the pond, so that I can still see the fish in areas when they're not near the bubble there, or bubbling areas, or aerated areas. That's how I do it. Whether that be right or wrong, but it works for me. But mine's on 24 hours a day, every day of the year, continuous.
But with the bottom drain, Phil, does it doesn't, you know, if you've got like a spin drifter or aerated bottom drain, don't that help bring all the detritus and the fish
it's
waste
supposed to form like a column,
and it brings it all to the centre and out into the filter boxes.
And in fairness, that's a brilliant point. That is actually, Mick. In fairness, mine is slightly off centre. I can't remember. It's about a foot off centre, basically. But I do notice that the longer section, so the bit nearest the filter, if I turn it off for any length of time, I do get, against that back wall, I do get a build-up of fish waste. So it definitely does something. It definitely helps keep pushing things around until it goes into the bottom drain. Yeah.
That's the job for you lads, to put me a retro bottom fin drain in then.
But those spin drifters, though, the oxygen that goes through them is nuts. Like, it's absolutely insane. I'm not surprised, to be fair, you can't see the fish when it's on. And I'd be exactly like you, Phil. I would be turning it off when I want to be out there barbecuing in the summer, family round, few beers, enjoying my pond. And if you can't see them, which again, if you switch over to that cycle, put it on a timer, 2 through 10. At least then, when anybody comes round to the bottom of your pond spotless, you know what I mean? There's nothing in the water column. The oxygen levels are bang on. Yeah. Anybody would think we knew what we were doing, mate, then. Do you know what I mean? We'd actually look like professionals instead of like just winging it. Because like I said, I'll pretty much wing everything.
Same as me, mate. I just do what I think's best. listen to people and choose which one you think's best.
When I do my upgrade, well, when I start my filter system, actually, one thing I need to get ordered, actually, Jack, to be fair, it needs to be put down and ordered ready for me building it.
You missed the boat now. It was supposed to be being delivered tomorrow, mate.
Well,
So we'll have to top up the order. So if anybody needs anything ordering from Cockney Coy, let me know, because I need to top the rest of the order up.
need to get me. So what I was going to do is get an aerated bottom drain, but obviously retro. And that was one thing that concerned me. Am I going to not get to see him? But I mean, like you said, you can switch off when you want to have a look. And
You'll see it on an aerated one. It's just the spin drifters, because it's designed to create that mudroom effect. That's where you won't see it. So there's one when you come over tomorrow. I'll show you one on the middle pod that might give, because that's an aerated retro one. It looks really cool in the water column, man. Honestly, it looks absolutely fantastic when it's running full length. Because
the other one's designed to curl and make the mushroom. Then you have a window in your pond, then Phil.
Sorry,
you have a window in your pond.
No. Conscious decision when building it not to have a window.
I've just come up with a nice solution for you. You put a window, you can see them when they swim past it. Claire's going to kill me when she sees me now if he goes back to her and says I'm having a window fitted in pond.
I see. I watch people now look at the state of the windows. They're as green as grass. And I think I'm so happy I didn't put a window. I sit there sometimes thinking it would be nice. I can see, it's right outside the lounge window sort of thing, and I would see them going past. But I'm still happy.
Come the height of summer, on a little mini pond that I've got, on nothing major, but it does have 3 little windows. Come the height of summer, I can clean those little windows daily to keep up with it. Or otherwise, every 2 days it's bottle green. You can't see a thing through them.
I've got the same as you. One of them Blagdons.
Yeah.
I've got the same.
Yeah. Crazy.
Infinity pools.
Yeah.
You know what? They're, as a starter kit, they're brilliant.
You can't to get into pond keeping or fish keeping on a small scale. They are the perfect little thing just to get you going, get you into the hobby, get you into the habit, and then off you go. Spend it.
As he's on its side at the side of the house, and even tonight, funnily enough, Claire said, should we get it all set up again and just put some goldfish in it?
Yeah, that's what mine's got. Mine's goldfish in it for my grandson. Right,
I want some mine in my bedroom with nice guppies or something.
All right.
Yeah, guppies. Some tropicals.
Yeah,
some tropicals. Like
bombing them out in summer months just to see how they do. See if you can get a little bit of going on. Has anybody else got any topics or issues?
Yeah. So can I ask Phil or some of the other, YouTube, that other people out there, what is when you hear these dealers talk about sashi and kiwa? I think it's the leading edge and the back edge, but which is which?
The sashi and
the front, isn't it?
Yeah, the sashi and the kiwa. I think it's the coloured edge. I think one of the viewers will know. Up North Coy might know this one.
Is that regarding the patterning and the colour?
Yeah, and the
colour. Yeah, it's the colour on the actual scale, isn't it? The leading edge and the back edge.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Mike might know, because I'm sure you were talking about that the other day when we were at his house. Was he not saying about was it a mango one that he got?
Yeah.
That had got some coloration on the outside of the scale, and then the inside of the scale was slightly different. Is that what it was?
No, that's
Saroji? No, I can't remember.
No, me neither.
But no, he had that super mango, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's
next level up for me.
Jeff Lee's evening all packed up for the night. What they missed? About 2 hours and 14 minutes, mate. So far, you better catch it back up, mate, and rewatch it back through. But basically, just us guys talking and discussing about Phil from Telford Koi Pond's questions for this evening. The Fukarin. That was the Fukarin.
That was it. Fukarin. That was it. That's that one. Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't
That
mispronounce
fish
that.
was amazing, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
It
My
glowed.
God, gorgeous.
It glowed.
Yeah, Koi Beginning says, yeah, it's where the colour goes onto another scale.
Just trying to find it in my koi book.
Well, if it ain't how you spell it, Mike, if it ain't how you spell it, it's how I pronounced it. So I'm just...
Yeah.
Yeah, front and back edge.
Yeah, the front and
it
back
is,
is
isn't it?
the leading pattern
Yeah,
of
but
the
that's it.
koi.
I'd like to, like I said, learn which one it is. I don't have to do some more research on it, but
There we go. Sasha is the faint grey or red on the edge where it fades out.
Yeah, but which edge?
Jeff Lee says, did those fish spawn, Jack?
Fortunately, they stopped, thank God. But the brushes
That's
are
scary.
still
Well,
nice.
no,
the
So they did stop. Sorry, leaning too far forward. You haven't seen me.
Yeah, I thought the sashi was the front edge.
Sash is the front edge of the scale, and how's that pronounced? Kiwak, what? Kiwaki? Oh, Kiwak. Back edge.
Just Kiwa, isn't it? Kiwa.
Kiwa.
Kiwa is the back edge, and Fukarin on the edge of the pecs.
I knew a girl called Kiwa.
That's a mouthful. Why do they always have to make them all so difficult? Can't remember which one.
I thought
Anybody
Fukarin
can also Japanese.
was the part of the centre of the scale.
Yeah, Motor Guru's on the pecs, isn't it?
Yeah, Motor Guru's on the pecs.
Yeah.
Now then, another question here from Jamie. Trickle feed, or would you just do a 10% water change? Personally, me,
Water change.
10%.
water change.
10% water change, yeah.
Yeah, water change. More control.
A lot more.
I'm going to be different, Jamie. Trickle in, trickle out.
Ooh, why?
He's always one.
I think you've got more control. So I'm running at 170 millilitres per minute, and that works out to 13% of my pond water a week changing. Instead of taking 10% in, when you take 10% out, you're taking a chunk out at once. It's just constant, isn't it? That's why I did it. I just thought, everybody keeps telling me consistency for the fish, consistency of water, temperature. So yeah, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but bearing in mind I've got a drum filter, so every 20 minutes it cleans and I lose a litre and a half of water anyway. So it's just constantly topping up.
Did anyone see that one of the koi warehouse? He did a really interesting one about trickle in and trickle out, and he was saying in his experience, it's caused more problems with pH crashes.
Yeah, I think that was the night I was on.
Right.
Thinking I was doing the right thing. Yeah. I think everything I said that night, according to Ricky, was wrong. So I had to seriously go home and rethink things. But
Sorry about that.
I think trickling. I think he's right if you do it to the extreme, because I do see other people on koi channels. Kaz is back. Hi, Kaz.
Where
I
did
do
you come?
see other people on koi channels, and they're changing like 2-3 litres a minute of water.
Yeah.
And that to me is too extreme.
If I can, guys, Fukarin is the way the flesh between the koi scales form a net pattern. When koi are full, the space between each scale is too narrow to form this pattern. As koi grow, the space between the scale becomes wider and creates the Fukarin.
Yeah. That's what we thought that, didn't we?
Yeah.
She's picked up on me. I did you not see her
Up
coming
north,
along?
pond tops up as and when needed as the drum uses it. I suppose when you've got the drum filler system on, you've got no real choice, have you? Otherwise, you come home at the end of the evening and find half your pond emptied out.
Yeah, you've got to have water going in. You've got to have a trickle in. Yeah.
But then again, having a trickle system in is the filtration system to your water then as well. So you've got removing all your chlorines and everything else, so dechlorinators and such going through constantly. Wise, I mean, not just when you're using for a water change.
Yeah, what I'm going to do with my drum filter when I get it next year is instead of taking water from the pond for the cleaning, I'm going to have a water tank that I'm going to keep topped up for the cleaning from the hose pipe that they've been pumped from the barrel to do the cleaning. That way I haven't got to keep topping the pond up so much.
Stevie says, I agree with Daz. Never had so many problems since I put in a trickle in, trickle out. North Corripon says, mine's on an auto top-up tank. So by that, then, up North Corripon, you mean is it a top-up tank that sits there filled up, pre-ready for each time it flushes? That tank then tops up the system, and then the tanks then back up from your main feed. So you're getting that time for dwelling time in the tank, which I suppose would allow some of the chlorine gas off regardless as well. But I know you do put yours through a dechlorinator, but you would be getting a little bit more. If it's like, do you mean by that type of top-up tank system, like you've got a header tank which flows to your filter as a top-up, and you've got like a backup reservoir of water for it to come from?
I think Simon's pond is when he says that he's got an auto top-up on, he's got like a cistern flush, water level. He's got a float valve basically, so when the water drops below, when his drum cleans and it drops below that level, it'll then fill up until the float valve hits the right height. So rather than a constant in and out, it happens when he needs it.
It's basically like your old system that you used to have where you had a tank in your attic. Water gets taken out, ballpark drops, water retops back up, job done. That's what I thought it was, mate.
There you go, header tank at pond level height with the float valve in it, yeah.
So that level and it auto tops back up to keep it there.
See, unfortunately for me, because my bathroom and kitchen are at the front of the bungalow, I've got no way of getting water supply out the back to do a trickle-in, trickle-out system.
Well, you've got the same option as me, Gary, which would be a mole underneath your lawn, all the way from the front, all the way through to the back of your house to thread it through and have a pipe laid, mate, which is well expensive, which is the reason why I go for water change instead.
It's also silly how they put the water meters in, because in the bungalows across the road, they're all in the footpath out the front. As I say, my bathroom and kitchen are at the front of my bungalow, and my water meter is outside my back gate.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough I don't have a water meter. I use as much as I want, whenever I want. But they like to charge you for that pleasure too. And we've got a little there up north, Corripon says, I still have customers out. You've already with permission. Wasn't needed anymore, man.
Yeah, we believe you, Simon. Oh dear.
Have you noticed anything with your when you reset everything, price-wise and everything for your heating of your pond? Have you lowered it down a little bit, or have you maintained it as it was? Or sorry, mate, I'm asking you questions there that really you might be showing us and telling us on your next video. So, if you don't mind sharing.
Was that to me, guys?
No, it was to up North Coy.
Oh, sorry.
Simon.
He's put a little honestly there. Honestly.
Yeah, we believe you.
He classes it as recycling. It's recycling with permission. Yeah, I go with that. Any else got any questions or anything else that they want to ask any of the panel, any of the group? Oh, there we go. Use an extra £2.50 on the new rates per day. Wow.
Yeah.
That's going to be
Wow.
nice. Yeah.
150 quid a month.
Bloody hell, smells.
Yeah.
So you're dropping your temperatures then and chilling the fish down. That's what I'll be doing.
I'm fixed until the end of May, so I've just turned mine up.
To be fair,
I'm getting the most out of it. It's costing me £5 a week at the minute to keep it at 18. So
I was speaking to John at the Koi Club, and I asked him, I said, are you concerned about the heating costs, obviously, going forward? And he says, definitely. So the more research he's been doing, what he's actually going to be doing is to stop the whole variance swing in spring with the temperatures. He's actually, once the air temperature, say, for example, is bouncing from 12 to 8, 12 to 7, 12 to 6, 12 to 10, it's going to hold at that 12 level. Then when it goes up to 14, it's going to hold at that 14 level, which in turn, obviously, it's not having to power it up to 18 degrees, for example, when the air temperature outside is sat at 8 degrees. So obviously, his pump's not going into absolute overdrive. Plus, the benefit of that is you will notice the colorations coming out in your fish a lot more. So any kahaki, tancho, any sankey, any showa, any beko, any shiratsuri, obviously, when they've got the winter colours on them, you guys will actually see the benefit by switching to that method, as opposed to constantly holding at, say, 18 degrees and then turning it off when it gets to summer. So again, you're letting that fish rest, you're letting that colour develop out, as opposed to keeping it in that sort of high metabolism state. Yes, your immune system is higher, but by gradually reducing it up through spring and then gradually reducing it down in winter until it gets to, say, I don't know, if your temperature gets to 6, I personally hold at 10 degrees or I'd hold it at 9 degrees. So you're just keeping it stable until you get through to winter. And that he's hoping that will give him a big difference in his actual running costs of it. But it'd be interesting to see what the long-term effects are. Obviously, I won't find out until this time next year. But again, just an idea for anybody else that's thinking about shutting off versus having a little bit of a halfway house. Is that something you'd ever consider?
Ricky, as I say, on that koi wholesale thing, when we talked about pond heating, he's completely turned my heating on the head, and I've decided next year, absolutely going to give them a proper winter. You know, I'm going to let the temperature go so they haven't gone down below 16 this winter. So I'm definitely going to let them go down to about, as you say, 9-ish degrees and hold it there steady. And where I can, I'm then going to use the heat pump, not to keep the temperature in the winter, but to ramp the temperature up in the summer. So, you know, it'll be while it's hot temperature anyway, just give it an extra couple of degrees or so, and it won't be working as hard. So we'll see. We'll see when we get the first bill, and then I'll know what I'm doing next summer, if I'm really honest with you. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I'm gobsmacked. You know, to me, less £5 for a week, less than £1 a day is beyond my wildest dreams of how much it would cost. So it's just a shame.
I might have the answer for you, yeah. Evening all. How are you all? I'm considering tapping into next door's electric.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all?
Well, if Graham does that, then I'll come and tap into Graham's. I'll run a big cable.
Kirby Giddings says my bill was £300 just for the electric, just gone. The missus kicked off for a month, 23 degrees C. Had to drop it down for a few C's, otherwise I'll be sleeping in the shed. Yeah, I think my wife had to be doing the same, mate.
I was thinking of trying to run mine off a log burner. Has anyone else had any experience out there heating a pond from a log burner?
I do believe Andy at Koi Pond Lifestyle. What he done was he.
I saw that in his garage. Yeah.
Yeah, he put a hole through his wall with a computer fan to take the heat from his log burner into his filter system.
Yeah, but did you see what it did? It didn't even go by half a degree.
No, it just didn't help at all.
No.
Nice try though.
This is a big log burner though. It's 8,000.
Yeah, the one that Daz has got. Yeah, bit slightly different than what you're doing, and it does a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you're basically taking the heat from the back of it and trying to blow it through. The actual cooling effect from the fan will cooling the heat that it was being blown through anyway. But you don't knock
I
it
was
in.
thinking like a heat exchange system to heat the water, or heating the whole room, doing one of those two ways.
Danny's Koi Ponds offered me it's like a black tube. They use them in Australia on the roofs, where you heat a vat of water up, and then it's like a black tube, but it's designed for ponds, which you in turn then you put that through your pipe work, and as the water's flowing through it, the heat is being transferred through it. So he asked me if I wanted that, so I said yeah. So obviously I'll bring that up to you. I'll see if we can drop it over tomorrow actually, for when you're here. So I'll send you that with that. But you can plumb that and put it into various different ones. Obviously, in the summer months, you have to be very, very careful because, like Danny said at the minute, there's him running that on his. He said he can literally open up his covers, and he said within seconds, he said the steam coming off the water because they're outdoors. He said it's insane. He says, but obviously in the summer, if you're not careful, he said you will boil your water on it. So you're not going to worry about that in the summer, though. But like I say, it's a freebie from Danny's Good channel for you. So like I say, we can try that.
Yeah. Cheers, mate.
Koi Water Plants and Rants says he's going to do the same thing, Phil.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be rethinking, because of cost particularly, but also because of what other people think the right way of doing it is now, or a different way of doing it. I think we just got to try it and see.
Yeah. That's it.
Well, it's trial and error, isn't it? That's how we roll.
What do you think about doing with your DAS is like the old fire-back boiler systems, isn't it? Where you used to have your coal fire up front, the boiler, the heating system at the back, and you're heating your water for your radiators around your house as a secondary, as byproduct from burning from your coal fire. Right? That's the type of thing you're thinking of doing.
Yeah.
Have you thought about doing
some kind of coil, some kind of water coil?
Yeah, I did think of some kind of water coil. There's so many different ways that you could do it. It's just finding the way it's going to work the best.
That's what Danny's got, to be fair. So like I said, that should work because that's what it's designed for. But in regards to the fire, have you thought about a hopper system? Because I know, obviously, when I go see Mum and Pops in Bulgaria, some of their log fires they have over there, it's like a wooden pellet that goes in, and it's actually fed through a hopper.
Yeah.
But obviously, there may or may not be a pond build, a huge one that's going on in Bulgaria. And obviously, from my last video that you guys seen, the log fires over there are pennies.
They are.
I mean, what it cost you $4,000 over here, it cost you about 600 quid over there, and that's an absolute Rolls Royce of a machine.
Yeah.
So I mean, it might be worthwhile bringing a hopper system back and trying that.
Yeah. See, I've got a mountain of logs. I've got an endless supply of logs because I'm always cutting trees down. So I may as well use them.
Yeah.
You vandal.
yeah, not even your trees. You just cut them down.
Doing it to say about it, that's why they keep chasing you down the street when you're loaded. Any other topics or comments you would like to share, talk, or discuss about? Anybody in the audience, anything they would like to ask, share, or discuss? We'll give them a chance to answer, and I shall allow you guys to do the same, should you wish. Anything you want to bring up, Mick? All right, enjoying yourself out there. There he goes, just back in time. Anything you want to bring up?
Me? No.
Sorry, guys.
No.
Is there any way people can suggest for the road trip where we could stop off this weekend to view?
Yes, but I mean, making his way down towards what's the
Tunbridge Wells?
Basingstoke.
Making his way down towards Basingstoke. Has anybody got any areas or suggestions or places to Koi related to have a look and a nosy around? Anywhere people would suggest to make any suggestion for us?
Open house. I've got plenty of tea bags. You're welcome to come and visit.
There you go. There's one. Do you do a good bacon, sausage, and egg?
Oh, bloody hell, yeah.
Yeah, it'll have to be about 2:00 in the afternoon, though.
Oh, you do.
Yeah,
day
I've
breakfast.
got plenty of bacon. I've got plenty of bacon and eggs in the fridge and bread and stuff. And
You've seen the size of me and Mick, haven't you?
Hey, chubby cheese.
Yeah.
Listen to this singing over there.
We've got Links Aquatics, Claire's Koi, Elite Koi, and then this is one I was actually thinking about. Adam Byers. But is Adam Byers more of a case of
Appointments only.
come, or can you just turn up as members of public, or is that the private type thing? Cuttlebrook as well.
I do
Appointments.
think because he's doing it full time. I think if we sent him an email tonight, if somebody could send him an email and just say,
in actual fact, if you want to get hold of Adam Byer, he's on my group.
Get your name dropping.
there you go.
Yeah.
I see him name dropping the other week with James the Koi Whisperer jumping onto his stream. Do you know what I mean? Pulling in all the big guns now. James the Koi Whisperer, Adam Byer.
Yeah, Tuesday night we had James Coy Whisperer. Saturday night we had Law Magro.
Yeah, Royalty as well. Another big name in the industry.
Royalty.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He's rubbing shoulders with all the best, isn't he?
We had Telford Koi Pond.
Yes, I mean, there you were, Gary.
Sorry.
Thanks anyway.
We had some weird scaredy cat scared of graveyards on the other week as well. Screaming.
Yeah, we did. That was pretty random.
You all laugh. I swear to God. You wait till you're in that store. Honestly.
In all serious manners, Gaz, when me and Jack were down there and we did the late night live when we were doing the lining out the ponds and stuff and trimming the liner up.
Yeah, I was watching.
When we'd knocked off and we'd done, we were sat there just talking and having, a slice of pizza, finishing up his drinks and what have you. And literally, the front door opened, banged and closed. Oh, that's what it sounded like. And the first thing we did was jump up, run out there to have a look, and there were nobody there. And that's not the first time that's done that.
Things have come off the side.
Me and April.
Looking forward to it tomorrow night, then, lads.
Me and Jack April got Jack a good one last night. Right when Jack was telling us all about a right scary moment for him, I withheld my number and rang him, and he screamed like a girl. And not two minutes after he went off live, I said to April, when he gets home, hide somewhere in the dark, and as he comes through the door, scare the bejesus out of him. And
thanks for that, mate.
most of you guys saw the video on the WhatsApp group. He absolutely that was classic.
You know what makes it worse though? So the little toilet that's in the middle room is on a light sensor. And when you sat in the store at 1:30 in the morning on your own, doing your work, and all of a sudden the little toilet light comes on. Yeah. And then it'll go off, and then 10 minutes later it'll come on again. And then you leave one of the doors shut in the toilet. And it's like, okay, time for me to go, and I'm running for the door. Not kidding. There's a lot of stuff happens in there.
Iggy shared one there which says, "What about Absolute?" I'm guessing that's Absolute Koi. Is that on route? Is that some? What we need to do is we need to do some googling and find out what's.
I think Absolute Coin's up Mansfield way. I think.
Shirley's.
Shirley, that's
yes, it is. Yes,
it
works.
If it's the Shirley I'm thinking of, it's Croydon way.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolute Koi is well worth a visit, though. It's a cracking place. Absolute Koi. It's really nice.
Yeah, I mean,
for me, any place
nice.
is worth a visit if they're decent fish and they look good.
They're fantastic fish, yeah. He's got some absolute monsters, some real gems.
To be honest with you, I've been to Adam and Amanda's. I'm telling you that if we could get to go there,
yeah, that would be ideal. Yeah, I'd love to go there.
I'm down for whatever, as long as there's food on the way.
Yeah, that's pit stop for food, trip out to wherever, pick up what we need to pick up and return back in that order.
Yeah.
With tomorrow night,
Yeah.
beforehand, Friday Night Live, meet up with some guests. Curry, Keith, you're going to miss out, mate. Curry's out. Curry, beer, good company. Job's a good one. That's what we need. Oh,
That's
there you
it,
go.
my mate.
This is good curry, Mick. Yeah, enjoy
better
it.
You better. You want it tonight, though, lads. Tomorrow night, lads, because Fat Boy's coming.
Skeggy just said Shirley Aquatics is in Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Yeah. In
So that
Shirley,
You
ironically
went
enough.
there, Jack, didn't you?
Yeah, literally in Shirley.
Yeah.
Overrated.
Where's
My
Coy?
opinion.
Where is Coy Water Barn on the way down?
That's
No.
down there, it is.
No, that's down there.
Kent way.
Steve, from you to come round, you'll come down the M1, go round past Heathrow and pick up the M3 to go to Basingstoke. To get the Coy Water Barn, you've got to come another 50, 60 miles further around the M25.
What's the koi place near Heathrow called? What is it? Heathrow Koi or something?
Yeah.
There's
Gatwick Koi.
Koi, over near Gatwick.
Yeah, Gary. Gary's
Hello.
up there.
Sorry?
No, say Gary from Gatwick Coy. That's his name.
Yeah, Gary. Yeah. He's on our group as well. I'm sure he is.
Yeah, he's like a celebrity, mate. Can I get your autograph? You come down tomorrow.
Out of the six of us, the only one that's not on my group is Daz.
To be fair, mate, you ain't even on Facebook.
To be fair, mate, it's not anybody's group because he hasn't
I'm
mastered
not on
Facebook
Facebook.
yet. And I'll do it for you this weekend, mate. I'll set your account for you.
Okay.
I mean,
thank
you
you.
come on, look how famous he's got with that bloody microphone. Look at him. Look.
I know.
With his posh.
It's the big league now. Look at that. Will you sign a TBR shirt when I come over tomorrow?
Yeah, come tomorrow next week.
Well,
So I'll be getting one. I'll let Gary do the. He said he spotted it, found it, and he was saying, "I'll get it. I'll send you a link." I said, "Let me know what it's like when you get it." So now I know it's half decent. I might be picking myself.
25 quid.
Ah, there you go.
Wow.
Perfect. Doing what you're doing.
But yeah, there is a Koi place at Heathrow as well, as Skeggy just said in the comments.
What was that, Gaz? What was it? 25 quid, but 170 odd pound for the new kitchen worktop, but you just drilled an hole through to fit it.
Ain't my worktop belongs to the landlord. What do I care?
Let's hope he's not in your group, mate. You know what I mean?
Well, where's the box gone?
You'll have to give me a call, Gaz. I'll come and repair it for you. It'll be 125 quid. Right. Well, guys, we could have him on. Oh, he's back. Damn it! We're just going to say we could have him on.
His box.
I just put everybody into bottom.
You get that clamp to put the boom for the mic in, but because I'm in the kitchen, I'm on a worktop, I've got nowhere to put that to, so it was like 12 minutes drill straight for the
It's
back
more
of the
designed so you could clamp to the side of a PC table.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah,
I mean, you could have opened the cupboard door and clamped it to there as a temporary solution as opposed to drilling through the work surface, mate. But I mean,
Well, it's the back.
what do I know?
Too late now.
Oh, I'll soon fill that back in with a bit of filler and Fabulon. That'll be all right.
Yeah. There you go.
Like I say, I don't own it, and so what do I care?
Green put their clear water koi Ashford, exclusively koi Sid Cup.
Yeah, Sid Cup, that's about 20-minute drive from here.
Seaver's fired him down in flames and said clear water, a small Graham. Yeah, so come back with a better suggestion, Graham. Keith says,
All right, mate.
he knows
It depends what Ashford Skeggy's on about, because Skeggy is saying Ashford is the wrong side of the M25. There's actually two Ashfords. There's Ashford in Kent, which is halfway between Maidstone and Dover, and there's Ashford in Surrey over near the back end of Heathrow Airport.
Ashford is the wrong side of the M25. LOL.
Yeah, what Ashford though? I say there's Ashford Kent and there's Ashford Surrey.
I'm impressed with my local dealers, both very expensive versus internet or groups on here.
Shameless plug. Tell you where he's really, really great value for money.
Here we go.
High-end koi.
Oh,
www.reefarathletics.com. We've got a fair. We're going to be there for opening weekend as well. So
Yeah,
there's
Ashford, Kent, that's probably from Basingstoke, probably about 100 mile.
Ashford, Kent.
Yeah.
Who Gary forgot about, sorry.
When is opening weekend, Jack?
Middlesex.
they're on heat ramp at the minute, so I reckon it's going to be sort of another sort of 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 4. Obviously, I don't want to get it too close to the A-Class Koi Growing Show weekend, but I'll try and get it out as soon as I possibly can. I've got another 3 more boxes of fish coming in, and then in 8 weeks, I've got another 4 boxes of Japanese Toso stuff coming in. But one of the boxes coming in the next 3 weeks, mate, just so happens to be a box of Stuart Series.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
Oh, somebody's making a road trip to Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah, let me know when you're there.
Yes.
Still looking.
Not a problem.
Places in Kent thinking of close to Vince and Gary. I don't know how close they are. I'm only messing with it. How did the rugby go? Did you lads enjoy it? I know you were out there tonight in the cold, feeling it, freezing your butt off, no doubt.
Do you reckon Graham Wright sat there at home now Googling how close does Vince live to Gary, not knowing either address?
New Forest Koi. That's not so. Is that too far away? New Forest Koi.
Sorry?
New Forest Koi.
Nowhere's too far, really. Around that.
Yeah, but is it on the? Is New Forest like north, or is New Forest actually south on the way down?
New Forest Koi would be heading further south from Vince's. So, I mean, I'm not bothered technically.
Yeah,
I'm
within
not
a
driving.
50-60 mile radius, it's there and there.
Yeah,
isn't
but for me, if we set off early enough, Vince's is what 3 hours. So my train of 4, we leave at about 6:30. Because don't forget, obviously Graham's coming down as well with us. So he's going to be following back down in his car in the morning. So if we find one that's relatively close and we get there at about 9 a.m., then we've got between 9 and 3 to get as many stops in as possible. So even if we went past Vince's and then maybe went bottom left and then back round the top to his, or bottom right and then back round the top to him, and then, like I say, we'd have to do a proper plan in regard to a route stop as well, because there's subscribers as well that want to jump on the UK pond tour visit. Do you know what I mean? That happen to be really close by or anything like that. Obviously, that'd be super cool to do as well for people that want to meet the crew.
Yeah, well, we're out and about on Saturday, guys. We are going to be out. So what we can do, both myself and Jack, is drop a few lives saying where we are, where we're going, where we're heading. And if anybody wants to come along and bump into us and say hello, feel free to do so.
Not literally though, because it's my car. So
Bump into us, ram us. Do you know what I mean? Literally drive head on at us.
Yeah. What spawning methods would you recommend? I'd recommend male fish and female fish, mate. That normally works the best.
Give me a bit of water.
Spawning
As long
ropes.
as they find each other attractive, jobs are good.
Yeah, put spawning ropes in.
Yeah, spawning ropes. You can make them out of.
Natural's all the way to go.
You know the nylon blue string you can get, like the rope?
Yeah.
You can also unpick that and fold that back as well. That's a really good one. If you've got nylon sacks.
Yeah.
But what do you mean?
Spread up, that's fine. It's fluffy.
Recommend natural or hand scooping them? Or
You can also
do you
use
need
conifer branches as well, as long as it's not juniper.
one female to female ratio, that kind of thing? What kind of things are you wanting to know?
That's an art form as well, whether you do 1-to-1, because obviously if you do 1-to-1, you're going to get a very, very, very clean spawn. If you do a 2-to-1, obviously you're mixing it down. You do a 3-to-1, you're mixing it down even further. That's why one of the spawns I've done, obviously I've got the 3 Kahakus against the Grommo. We want to try and make some go shitties.
That would be good.
So again, that would still be classed as a clean spawn, even though it's 3 to 1, because it's 3 of the same.
Yeah.
Quick message there from Graham. Rugby was good. Thanks, guys. Boys did well. I was freezing. I bet you were, mate. Jack, can you check your messages, bud? Because he sent you some for about tomorrow.
Yeah, as soon as I jump off the stream, I'll jump straight on.
2:30 would be better. Well, we'll be there for free.
Oh, Vince. I've only just spotted him.
Vince,
I think we're aiming for free, aren't we? I don't know. If we can, we will. If we can, we will. But we'll try to if we can, mate. That makes it better for you.
Well, so we're
Ideally,
only there 10 minutes anyway. Obviously, we've got to get back because it's a
Yeah.
long drive. Mick.
It's a 4-hour slog for me, so that the least time that them fish are in a bagged up, the better. It's not something I can hang about with. I just want to make sure that I get it back and get it back safely. That's all. 4 hours is a long rod. Well, I'd be pushing 4.5, maybe 5 by the time I'll do it like I need to. Yeah.
I know when DC Coy come down to me back in October, it took him 5 hours.
I have got an idea. I've got the transport moving vat, and I've also got Sam's airstone bubbler.
Yeah,
I could see if that fits in the. I can see if that fits in the back of Mick's car. They both come out the same system. Vince, have they both come out the same tanks or not? Or have you got them separated? If they both come out the same tanks, they've both got to go through the same quarantine levels anyway. So we could put them in instead of bagging them. We could put them in the water, and then run Dazzy's bubbler, Sam's bubbler.
Yeah.
That might be a better suggestion.
All the way back through. Yeah, there is that.
I'll bring me 2 aerators then.
We can sort something in one way or another, mate, if we can. We're just looking at some places that we can go to and perhaps maybe pop to on his way through. Sorry. Hitch up the TDR trailer, Mr. Lawson.
you see my car?
Beautiful, mate. Beautiful.
Guys, I've just had a thought. If it'll help you sort out with Vince and talk rather than in chat, if Vince wants me to, I can text Vince the link now, drop off, and he can come on live with you.
Yeah,
And
well,
then you can all talk live.
they're all in the same tank anyway. So that sorts that problem out then. They're all in the same water. We could just the box, aerate and have aerate and run them back like that. But that gives us
Do you want me to bring some of my giant koi sacks just in case if I can get them out?
I've got sacks and that at the shop, mate. The issue is my oxygen bottle's 6 foot.
Yeah, I tried to get one. Our Steph tried to get one, but they said you have to have an account with them, and they wouldn't allow me to go and pick one up if I had an account.
I'll phone my brother after this as well because he might know someone local that does diving, and they may have a hand reg. And if they've got a hand reg, then I might be able to borrow that just to gas off.
Yeah, but that's not pure oxygen though, mate. A diving rig is not pure oxygen.
In the hand reg, it is. It's
the little ones you just pop in your mouth and breathe.
These are like the what's it ones. It's like for an emergency med kit thing that they have to take with them on boats. So those are oxygen. Those are not pure. Yeah. So I'll speak to my brother after this and see if he knows anyone local to me.
We make the bigger one, sorry, mate.
No, my big one in the shop, that is medical grade oxygen because that's 6 foot. But I'm on about the handheld ones. It's like a hand rig that you can take.
Yeah.
Vin says no in a slightly different manner.
Yes.
Right then, chaps. As we have now been on for pushing close to 3 hours, and I've not eaten all day, and I really do need
to. That's the new record.
That is quite. It's definitely my new record, and we've held almost 20 to 30 plus people throughout the most of it. I am going to turn around and say thank you very much, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Phil, Mick, Garrett, Daz, and Jack, for coming
Pleasure.
on. And
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you for
Nice to
having
see you, mate.
if
Thanks,
anybody
mate.
else would
Take care,
like to be a guest, whether you be a YouTuber, whether you be a member of the public, and you are interested, and you want to come along, you want to have a go, email address is on my YouTube account in my bio. Feel free to drop me a message. Feel free to get in touch. And that honor leaves me from myself and the guys. Thank you very much again. Till next time, keep smiling. We'll catch you all on the next one.
Cheers, folks.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Cheers, everybody.
Good night, all.
Bye.